Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we talk about all the latest in pop culture news, TV and movie reviews, gaming reviews, and in addition to that, just the general conversations of the day. For those of you who are new to the program, I'm Price of Reason, and with me, as always, is my co host, Professor R2. How's it going, Professor?
Oh, I'm here.
Well, that's good. We're
No,
both.
I'm doing fine, Bryce. How are you?
I'm good also. A lot to talk about today. And again, we're here. This show, for those who don't know, it's powered by Rumble. Rumble is our headquarters for this show. Rumble is a platform for free speech. And if you're watching through the app and this is your first time and you haven't signed up for Rumble, you should do that immediately. And if you do that, you can also follow us. But with all of that out of the way, I think we can just jump in here. So, first story of the day, and this was a very strange day with this. It started off that I guess Amazon apparently wanted to start listing next to each product that they sell how Trump's tariffs are affecting that specific product. That's at least what people were saying. And
Yeah.
then the press secretary Caroline Leavitt, she was
Mhm.
kind of some reporters said, "What do you think about that?" And then she was saying, "Oh, this is an act against America" or something like that. Let me try to find what she said. Did you see that clip?
I didn't see that clip. No, I did read some stuff about this this particular
I mean, she
thing
gave a good
happening.
answer. Whatever the case is, this lady does a good job.
No,
She's good.
she's really good as press secretary. Yeah. Yeah.
I I like her. I think that she's actually good at her job. Objectively, I'm saying this.
No,
Like even
yeah, no, I think she's
yeah,
really good as press secretary. She's really capable and she really she handles the press well, which is important part. It's not just about being able to stand up there and give the message, but it's about being able to handle some of the press corps
absolutely.
who can be very pushy.
So let's see. I think this was
Oh, this Scott Besson, yeah.
it starts with him, but then it goes to her.
Hi, Mr. Secretary. So it was reported this morning that Amazon will soon display a little number next to the price of each product that shows how much the Trump tariffs are adding to the cost of each product. So isn't that a perfect, crystal clear demonstration that it's the American consumer and not China who is going to have to pay for these policies?
I will take this since I just got off the phone with the president about Amazon's announcement. This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest level in 40 years? And I would also add that it's not a surprise because, as Reuters recently wrote, Amazon has partnered with a Chinese propaganda arm. So this is another reason why Americans should buy American. It's another reason why we are onshoring critical supply chains here at home to shore up our own critical supply chain and boost our own manufacturing here.
Now, what's interesting is that just not too long ago, it looked like Jeff Bezos was sort of at least establishing an okay rapport with Trump. He was at his
Yeah.
inauguration. It's the Phobos one. I understood what you're saying. Well, she is very nice, but I'm actually saying that she does a good job in her job, regardless. But what I was going to say is that it seemed like him and Bezos were sort of okay with each other. In addition, prior to the election, the Washington Post, they wanted to endorse, the editor there wanted to endorse Kamala, and Bezos put the kibosh on it. Now, I'm
Yes.
not saying that Bezos is a nice guy or that he likes Trump or likes Kamala, likes anybody, but I would say that he's sort of a businessman that understands where the winds are blowing. And I thought that that's why he was kind of distancing himself more from the left, and he kind of saw the writing on the wall of what was going to happen with these elections. At the same time, I felt like Zuckerberg was doing something similar. They were both kind of, I don't really consider them that they have these kind of moral values or views or anything. They just whatever they think is good for their business. So they went more, right leaning or kind of cozied up to Trump, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But by doing this now, or even suggesting that they would do this, how do you interpret that? Why do you think that he would suddenly take a risk like this, knowing
I
how
have
Trump is?
I have no idea why they would do something as silly as displaying or trying to display the amount that the tariffs are costing you. First of all, it's nonsense. It would be insanely difficult to calculate this, and you'd basically never get it right. And I don't understand why they think that would benefit them in any way to be like, oh, here's how much you're paying in tariffs. Uh, I mean, it's okay. So you know how tariffs work, right, Price?
Yes.
So we have the goods that are coming in from China. China doesn't pay those tariffs. Whoever is buying those goods from China, generally it's going to be some supplier here on this side, some company here on this side that's going to be buying those goods in, then selling them out to the consumer. Now, it just depends, but that's typically how it's going to happen. And of course, this is every other country around. So what happens is that let's say you have I don't know, uh, dog bowl for dog food, right? That costs $10. Well, if they say, "Oh, we're going to put a 25% tariff on it," that's not going to raise the price of that bowl necessarily to $12.50, right?
Okay.
It's not necessarily going to jump 25% because what we deal with in economics is what's called price elasticity, right? So if they could sell that bowl for $12.50, they'd already be selling that bowl for $12.50. So what happens is if that is something that is not elastic, where they can't stretch that. They can't say, well, we'll just ask $12.50 for it and people will still pay for it. People will leave that product and they'll go buy something else that costs whatever it does. Now, that generally with lower end products, that's not a big deal. But when you start to talk about higher end stuff, let's say we've got a $100 computer chip. They've been selling it to the US for $100, but now that goes up significantly. It goes up by 25% or whatever it is, 125%, right? Whatever. The price of that jumps significantly, but the problem is that no one here is going to pay double. No one's going to pay 150% for it, whatever. They'll just find some other supplier if that's possible, because they're not elastic on what they're willing to pay for that price. They don't have a demand for it that's so high that they'll just pay whatever that price is. So what has to happen is that on the Chinese end, they are going to sell that product and say, well, we can't actually sell it for $100 anymore because no one's going to pay the 100 plus the tariff on top. So the Chinese suppliers, the ones that manufacture stuff in China, they have to lower what they're actually asking for those prices because they know that it's not going to be elastic on this end. People aren't just magically going to pay all that extra money. So they instead have to charge, say, $65 for it, so that when it gets over here and the tariffs are added onto it, that they've eaten most of the cost of that tariff. So some of it ends up hurting the original supplier of it because they don't get to charge whatever they want for it, right? The market is already set, and so they have to kind of cut the profit that they're making on their end so that they can sell it on this end. And yes, the American consumer does end up paying maybe a little more. Maybe that product is a little elastic. They'll buy whatever, we'll buy whatever it is for $105, right? We're not willing to pay an extra 25 or $40, but we'll pay an extra couple of dollars here and there. So yes, we would end up paying a little bit of that, but a lot of it is going to get eaten by the actual Chinese manufacturers, because they're not going to be able to sell those products out at a much higher price, because we'll just get it from somebody else or we'll make it here. So the idea that you could actually go into the Amazon store and say, okay, here's how much extra you're paying in tariffs is quite stupid. Because you're going to take, there's going to be a change in the price on one end, and that's going to change the amount of the tariffs that you're going to pay here. And then you're going to see, and a lot of that's just going to magically, balance out. That's what has to happen so that these genuinely, let's call them what they are, they're cheap Chinese manufacturers can continue to sell their products into the US. They're going to have to end up eating a lot of those profits that they would get on selling those products so that they can continue to sell them here.
You know how they make them so cheap? Because I always tell you there's like children in a dungeon putting them together. Now, I admit that I buy stuff from China all the time. I mean, our cell phones are like that, but I don't claim to be like a saint or anything. I'm just a regular man that lives in the world. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of these people, always the ones that are like the most of the environmental and the most activists and the most like hard left, they're always talking about all these like issues that are important to them. And they always ignore the fact that the iPhone that they're probably playing with or writing their perceived grievances with was probably put together by a few children in a dungeon in China. But that's okay because that doesn't bother them because they need the phone. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
It's like when those celebrities go on the private planes and they're like they want to go fly to some event to talk about the environment. Like I think like Leonardo DiCaprio, does he even fly like a regular flight? I think it's always like a private plane, or he's on some yacht that like needs, yacht the size of a country. You know what I'm trying? Trying to say? Like all these people, they love all these great causes, and at the end, they seem to be the opposite of all the causes that they always champion. But I got off topic here, like I sometimes do. With this China thing, yeah, I mean, these are a lot of cheap products. They're put together cheaply there. Sometimes maybe it's good. I mean, we rely on that sometimes, but at the same time, I don't see a reason, especially now when I don't think that President Trump is trying to do this just to annoy people. I think that there's a reason why. How it's going to work out or play out, I don't know. But the idea that he thinks that the U.S. relies too much on Chinese product and there's too many, taxes and things that he wants to change the game when it comes to the tariffs. I don't have a general issue with that. I know that maybe it's easier said than done, and I know that some of these decisions that he's making may have a negative effect on the short term, but I am hopeful that if he is working behind the scenes to at least reach agreements with a lot of these countries, that it'll end up being something more positive. And he certainly doesn't need somebody like Jeff Bezos playing these type of games with him, which is interesting because look at what happened. I don't know if you saw this other stuff that happened on the same topic. So I'm sharing this article. Amazon denies plans to list tariff prices after President Trump calls Jeff Bezos to object. So basically, Trump got on the phone and got annoyed at Jeff Bezos, and suddenly Amazon changes their entire, singing a different tune. They're saying now, oh, we never even intended to. Let me see what it says. It says something. Okay, the team that runs our ultra-low-cost Amazon Whole store considered the idea of listing import charges on certain products, Amazon spokeswoman Rachel Leighty said in a statement to USA Today. This was never approved and is not going to happen. And then I guess I don't know if this is the video that maybe they talk to Trump. There's a video where Trump says his thoughts on it. I actually haven't watched this video, and I hope that it'll be amusing, because it usually is. Let me see if I can find it. Trump, Amazon. This should be funny. If there's something that he talked about, I think this is it. I got it. Are you with me?
I'm with you. Okay,
let me share this one. Share this tab instead, and now let's see what Trump has to say.
Jeff Bezos was very nice. He was terrific. He solved the problem very quickly. and he did the right thing, and he's a good guy. Jeff Bezos was very nice.
Well, at least he didn't start saying bad things about him. I mean,
He was very nice.
very nice. He reversed his decision completely, and he's not going to do what he said he was going to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least I give a little bit of credit to Trump here. Trump knows that Jeff Bezos, he does have a lot of money. He is very powerful. He didn't start with Jeff Bezos is a loser. Like, he didn't start with that. He's just like, oh, he talked, he fixed it. I'm sure he had harsh things to say to him on the phone call, but Elizabeth Quince is saying that she bets Bezos didn't actually make that statement. It was the shitlibs, sorry, Sean, that worked for him that didn't get the office memo. You know, it's all possible. I don't know exactly what he was thinking. I would think to myself that this would be a dumb thing for Jeff Bezos to do. I don't think that he benefits from this in any way, and especially not now, this second. Now, if you told me that, like, after a long time and his company is hurting and there's a rift with Trump and all that stuff, maybe that would make more sense to me. But right now, with how relatively recent all these tariffs are and where we're at with them, I think that this would be a big mistake on his end if he did it. Obviously, Trump got on the phone with him and the whole thing was put to bed. So
Yeah. The whole idea, like I said, seems extremely silly because to say like to be able to display it and say like, well, here's exactly how much these tariffs are actually costing you extra, right? It wouldn't make any sense, like I said, because the prices are going to change and that's going to change the tariffs and then everything. I mean, not everything is going to even out necessarily. Again, some prices, some products are going to have more elastic demand than others, where a company can't say, well, now it's 150 because that's how much we're charging for it, and you'll buy it or you won't, right? But a lot of other products, it's just not that elastic. People are not willing to suddenly pay extra for it unless they just have no choice whatsoever. So yeah, there's a lot of cheap garbage that we get. I mean, and that's basically, by the way, he mentioned that, or they said something about it was on Amazon Haul, right? Have you ever looked at Amazon Haul?
no, who even looks at that? What happens on that?
I mean, it's basically Amazon Temu. It's dirt cheap crap.
I see.
Like we're talking products that are like $20 and lower.
Do you ever buy from Amazon Haul? I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, I've never actually bought anything from it. It's a mobile only experience. I think you can only get to it through the mobile app. It's not on their website, and it's all these like really like super cheap, products. Some of them are simply just low end, small things like a bracelet or something, right? That might be made by a small business or something, but most of it is just cheap Chinese garbage.
Well, quickly, I
From
want to
what I
say
can
Leah Hunt on the Rumble end says, Leavitt says that Bezos was in cahoots with China this afternoon. She did say it with the propaganda arm. She gave the answer that she thought was best at that moment. I don't know exactly who was in charge of the decisions or made that statement. I don't know if it was somebody that Bezos wasn't aware was saying that and then he cracked down on it, or he approved it and then reversed his position on it. Really hard to say. In a situation like this, he does have a lot of people working for him. But in any case, whatever they said this afternoon, Trump swept it under the carpet. He said Bezos fixed it. Everything is great. And then he's a great guy. So I guess they put this matter to rest. When it comes to buying cheap products, I'll tell you, I don't really use Temu these days. Back, I think before Temu, you had Wish. Do you remember Wish?
Yeah, I never did any shopping on Wish.
I was fascinated by Wish, and then a number of times there were things that like you looked at it and it's like, wow, it's so cheap to buy this here. And I bought a number of times on Wish, and I got the delivery from China, however long it took, and everything was cheap. But let me tell you something: almost every single thing I got on Wish, you knew that it was a product that's not going to last long. Even there was one thing, let's say it was like a quote unquote gaming, kind of like a Game Boy. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
have all these classic Nintendo games on it or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Of course,
little retro consoles. Yeah.
retro, but one
handheld.
that's like a handheld. I actually
Yeah,
bought
retro
that.
handhelds. Yep.
and I had a retro console, like a handheld, and I got it. And first of all, obviously, I'm sure they don't pay a licensing fee to anybody. They're just like,
Oh
the
no.
games are here. At best, maybe like they'll, if it was called Super Mario Brothers, now it's called like Super, you know, Super Chan Brothers, or you know what I mean? Like maybe they'll change
Yeah, I
the
got you.
Teriyaki Brothers. I don't know what they'll
Super
change it to
teriyaki.
something. You know, they'll change something about it, but at the same time, they still keep all the stuff. In some cases, they didn't even bother changing it, but in some cases, there was like a change in title or something along those lines. And yeah, for the first maybe 30 days, I did play with the thing, and it was nice. But let me tell you, it was so cheap, the quality of it, that after 30 days, like the controller's not working properly, everything's kind of falling apart. Do you get what I'm saying? Like it's not. It wasn't something that you can count on
For
that'll
sure.
work beyond a very short, like a very small window.
Yeah, there's only a handful of things I've ever bought. I've bought from AliExpress on a few occasions, because there's some things it's so hard to find exactly what you're looking for in the U.S. specifically. It's let's see, what have I bought from over there? I bought some keyboard keycaps and some key switches for doing a custom keyboard, because it's you can go through a supplier here, but most of the time they're just buying their stuff from AliExpress and then adding 10%. So you might as well just buy it straight from the stores on AliExpress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean. And so yeah, so basically, it was uh, it was very cheap what I bought, but I guess you get what you pay for. You buy something that like looks great in the pictures, and you get it, and it looks like it's going to be great. But unfortunately, there's only a certain amount of time that you could play with it. I was trying to look online if I could find it, but I can't even find the cheap one that I got. I can see all these on Amazon, which are actually more expensive. I don't know if it's because of the tariffs, but I can see some that are more expensive. But the one I got, it was very cheap and it fell apart. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of those like little retro handhelds, retro console things that are, yeah, they're held together with spit and wire. They're not exactly top quality.
Yeah,
I've had a few.
exactly.
I've had a few of them that were really good, but yeah, most of them are not
I mean,
great.
I like the idea. I like the idea of it, and I certainly enjoyed it for the amount of time that it worked. And it's nice. I mean, sometimes it's nice to have these games. I also I got like I think a retro console. This one maybe I got on like Alibaba, and the retro console was actually more serious. It had like all the games from any console that you can think of from the 70s until maybe mid 2000s. Every game, everything you can think of was on it. I still have that one, and I got that on AliExpress. That one cost a little more than the handheld one that fell apart,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, that one, relatively speaking, works pretty decently. But again, you could tell that it's not the best equipment. It's not made from the best materials. It's very kind of cheap plastic. Everything about it feels very cheap.
Yeah, that's what you tend to get when you buy on on those companies. Yeah.
It's fine though. Listen, I don't mind it, but maybe there's some people that rely on it, and maybe there's certain things that we need from China that like I'm not thinking of that are part of products that we buy or that we don't even notice that we buy and it has it in them or things like that. But personally, it's not that I go out of my way looking for things that are made in China. Most of the time, like I said, it's stuff it's stuff that'll kind of fall apart quickly, or it's not usually of the highest quality.
Yep. We got
So
a super chat
oh
over
wow, okay.
on YouTube.
Let me go right there and see what it's about. 1 second. It'll take me a second. This is gonna be fine. I know you're worried, Professor,
No,
but
no, we're gonna get there.
we're gonna get there. Here, I think I did it, but I didn't share it right, so I have to share it now.
Yep. There you go.
Okay, I did it now. It's the Phobos for $2. Cube RX makes the good handhelds. They aren't cheap. I believe you. I totally believe you.
Don't think I've heard of that brand. I know the cube that's made by Anbernick, which is a very, very well known company. The RG, yeah, Cube XX, yeah. He's following up with that. Yeah, that's made by Anbernick, which is really, really well known company that makes a lot of these retro handhelds. And yeah, some of them are pretty good. I've had a couple of Anbernick devices over the years. And oh my goodness, you have received quite the gift from Mary White there, Price.
Mary White is becoming a fan favorite. When I say fan favorite, I'm her biggest fan. And I really thank her because she's always so generous. Mary White gave 20 Price of Reason Live gift memberships. Thank you so much, Mary. That's really, really kind of you. I enjoy seeing you on our streams. She hangs out in the Quantum Leap one as well, so you know she's a woman of culture. Is that a term? Does such a thing exist? Is that like people always say like men of culture, but they say that usually when there's a post with nice ladies in it. But you know what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Ace Hanlon
Yes.
member for 3 months. That's also thank you. It's great to see you here. And Estefobos with the $2 and Mary White with the 20 Price of Reason Live gift memberships. Very, very generous of you. Thank you very much.
It's Cece's very happy with getting his membership. Good to see you, Cece.
CC Karaoke is here.
Indeed.
I'm looking at the thing, so I wasn't. Hey, what's up, Cece?
Yeah, Nick Weiser got a membership as well.
Nick Weiser.
He's not around though.
No, he probably isn't. But it's nice. So many people are getting it now. And Cece, I didn't even know you were around. That's how we found out that he was listening. He's one of our secret listeners. And then, hey, Hypnocrab, how's it going? Haven't seen you in a minute. And then Marla Sharendorf. Hi, everyone. Hi, Marla. How's it going? Nice to see you here. This is my name. Did that answer your query? I don't know. I feel like a lady of culture, Phantom Monk says. Yes, absolutely a lady of culture. Anyhow, how do we get here? We were talking about cheap handhelds.
Yeah.
At least we weren't talking about cheap hand something else.
Yeah.
Because cheap handheld sounds kind of fishy if you think about it.
Yes. It's better than CC over 9,000. Oh yes.
Well, you know, we do our best.
Just thinking about trying to sort of in some way highlight or call out tariffs on Amazon's side. It's so ridiculous. It's such a ridiculous idea. It would have to be changed and updated constantly. It's, they'd have to set up a whole system to try to automate it. And then again, it would never actually be all that accurate because it's always going to, it's just going to reflect what they're currently charging for a product and the tariffs on it, not how that price might have changed because of the tariffs that were placed on things. So, and the thing is, again, I think this is all just ridiculous. Now, I don't know about China. I don't know whether or not they keep saying, the White House keeps saying we're negotiating, and then China keeps saying, no, we're not. We haven't negotiated with anybody. I don't know who to believe because honestly, I never believe anything that the Chinese party has to say. So I think it's entirely possible that they are in fact negotiating behind the scenes and just not telling anyone, so that they can save face. But
yeah, saving face is a thing there. MattCat83, hail to the chat. How's it going,
Matt? Hey there, Matt.
Nice to see you. See, that's the thing that's tricky with the Chinese statements. The truth is, and I've said this before, we've talked about this. Part of the culture in China is, and this isn't me just being like a prick or anything. Sorry, Sean. The thing is that in China, it's sort of customary to lie to each other. The whole saving face and lying to each other's faces, that's not considered a bad thing there. That they're expecting that. That's part of what they do in whatever cultural things that they have. That's a part of their culture. So them going around and saying they are talking or not talking, I can't really look at that one way or another. It could be that they're just saying that and they're trying to save face. It could be that they are talking behind the scenes. Who knows? I just don't. I don't know what to tell you. I would think that probably they would and say that they aren't, but that would make sense to me.
Yeah.
I tend to think that at the end they want to reach some kind of resolution, but who knows? You know what I mean? You never know.
I think that probably by the end of June, most of these countries will have come to the table, and we will have agreements that are going to be signed, saying, here's what we're doing. Before those 90 days are up, before many of these countries have a chance for any of the tariffs to really go into play. Now, China, obviously, they've kind of said, well, too bad. These are already going into effect. But on the other hand, they also they're going to they've exempted a lot of stuff. All right.
Right.
Are already right. They've already taken a bunch of things. They've said, well, this no tariffs on that, or only the small tariffs, and and this over here we'll take that out too. Now, I guess did you hear today? Now they're talking about car parts, right? They're saying there's some car parts that they're gonna take the tariffs off of and stuff. So it's kind of like that, big talk with all these tariffs, and then it's like, we're gonna pick and choose these little things, and we're not really gonna enforce it there, right?
Here's what I told you from day one. You do a big stink and you talk about all these tariffs, and it's enough that every country has a deal that's even a little better for the US. We're already it's a better deal for the US, meaning we were in a situation that everything was bad. If Trump can create a situation that everything is just a bit better, it's still better than what we had. So he starts off like with a lot of big talk. He says he'll give them hundreds of percentages or all that stuff. But at the end, I think that, there is a practical thing going on here that even he must understand, that things still need to keep moving somehow. He doesn't want to make all the markets crash or all the businesses fall apart. I think he's just trying to do his best to get some of these countries to renegotiate. And hopefully we'll get something out of it. If that ends up being the case, it could be an overall positive. But we'll see. Thunder Thoughts, I've been wondering, how could you guys talk about politics on YouTube like this? Well, I don't know. We just get on a stream and talk about it. Also, and I said this at the beginning, the main stream here is actually it's like a Rumble based stream. We're also streaming it on YouTube in this case. And the reason why we feel comfortable is because on Rumble, we're not worried that we'll talk about stuff and that it'll be an issue. We can have very, very upfront and very honest conversations on Rumble, and we're not really worried about that. And the YouTube side, let's hope it'll be okay. I mean, that's the best we can do.
Yep.
And listen, we're pretty decent people. We're just talking about things that are happening in the world. I don't think that we're, mean spirited about it. We're not like filled with rage and hate. We're just kind of looking at things and discussing them, and hopefully people will be okay with that. Jeanette says,
well, I mean, there is some hate. I mean, Hassan Piker's a piece of shit. So I'll just say that right now. But anyway,
I'm not a fan of his. I'll tell you what, there are people that are not, I don't prefer. But still, I try not to put all my energy into people that I don't prefer.
Oh, exactly.
Even if I'm not a fan of theirs, I feel like even me giving like hate to that person is more energy than probably that person deserves. Listen, I'm human. Sometimes I'll get annoyed and I'll say something bad about somebody. It's not that I can't do it, but I try my best. I try my best to like contain the negative energy. Jeanette says, wow, I'm laughing way too hard this conversation. So glad I'm French. We just insult people to their face. Oh, bonjour, Jeanette. Je m'appelle.
Did you
Prix de
watch?
raison. What'd you say?
Did you get to watch any of Andor tonight?
I did.
Yeah. Did you like how the Gorman is basically France?
It seemed that way. We'll get to that one. We'll touch upon that. But yeah, hopefully I impressed Jeanette with my French. I haven't spoken French in many years. J'oubliais mon français, Jeanette. I don't know how that sounded. She's probably laughing her ass off now, thinking, did this guy, what language would he speaking in? In any case,
You were speaking in Mon Calamari. That's what.
that's what it was.
Yeah.
In any case, hopefully I impressed Jeanette. I didn't even know she was French. Somehow the French thing, now I'm impressed. Generally, like, sometimes the French can be annoying, but when it's a lady that's French, usually that's a positive thing.
Ah, the French.
I probably shouldn't have said that. You know what I'm trying to say.
No, yeah. It depends on how hairy you like them, but
I don't know what you're talking about, Professor. But Vanessa Paradis is French. And she's very pretty.
Oh, yes.
In fact, if Johnny Depp hadn't left Vanessa Paradis, he probably would be in a much better place right now.
Jeanette got it what I was laughing at. I'm just messing with you, Jeanette.
I hope it was no offense, Jeanette. I don't even know what he's talking about. He was telling a joke. Hopefully, Jeanette understood that we're laughing here at the Night Owl. Here at the Night Owl,
It's all just in fun.
In any case, how did we even get here?
The same way we get anywhere, Bryce. We just meander our way over from some other topic.
We were talking about tariffs, and we suddenly talked about French women suddenly.
About French women.
And I was trying to give a compliment to a French woman. I was saying that generally speaking, sometimes, this kind of French attitude can be, perceived as annoying, but usually there's a lot of like nice ladies in France. So I was trying to give her a compliment, and somehow this kind of went off the rails. But hopefully you can understand. Yiddish says "sacre bleu."
Oh,
yes. Let's get off this and back to where we were. So they folded. Do you think that this is now going to be put to rest, this tariff thing with Jeff Bezos, or do you think that this is going to come up again?
I think probably yes. I think there'll probably be a lot of people who would be pissed about it. I don't think this is something that would go over well with customers generally. Most people are not in full panic mode over this tariff stuff. They really aren't. So far, it really hasn't affected us. And again, I think for the most part, a lot of these countries are going to come to the table. The tariffs are going to be minimal. Maybe that 10% minimum sticks around, for a lot of countries, and maybe for some of them, again, there's already countries that have been talking, saying to the U.S., hey, let's just go 0-0, right? Let's just zero out the tariffs, forget it, and we'll be great trade partners from here on out, right? So
that sounds fine to me.
Yeah, for those countries that are going to come in and make those deals, then a lot of the products that are coming in, or nothing's going to happen, or maybe our products are going to be even more welcome in other countries. And I think that was always one of the goals. One was to help American-made products be more attractive in other markets, and then it was to really try and get businesses to start to bring more of their manufacturing back into the U.S. And that is happening. Obviously, that type of thing takes time. That's not something we can do overnight, but a bunch of different companies have already been very forward, very open about saying they're going to bring a lot more of their manufacturing back to the U.S. And it's not just cars; it's other things like pharmaceuticals and so on that genuinely we need to have manufactured here. We should have really critical medications and pharmaceuticals manufactured here in the United States. We don't want some other country that can literally hold our healthcare hostage by saying, oh, you did something we don't like, so we're not going to let you have critical medications like antibiotics, right? We have to be making those kinds of things here.
By the way, Jeanette says, Istafobos is a woman from immigrant grandparents and now living in California. I always thank my French attitude for keeping my sanity here. Haha. Jeanette, when you can, just tell me if you understood what I was saying in French. If that actually came out in French, I'm so curious. In any case, Mary White is greeting all the people on Rumble that are seeing the YouTube comments. Yes, this is a multi-stream thing, so we're trying to highlight everybody's comments here. But where were we? So we had the Amazon folding and all that, and that what you were saying about tariffs. I have felt that there's been an increase in pricing. You know where? I ordered a pizza today, and there was a pizza. I'm serious. There's a pizza that usually when I order it, I feel like it's like maybe it's like a fancy pizza. This is like it's not like the Domino's one. It's considered like a cut above. I think maybe usually it costs like $20 for like a extra large or whatever it is, and now it costs like maybe $23 suddenly. Like I think last week it cost 20 and now it was like 23. That's if you want olives on it. And I don't know, was it the olives that became so expensive? So I was looking at it today and I was kind of concerned about how the price of the olives went up. But I don't really think that it has anything to do with the tariffs. I think that some of these restaurants are probably like, let's raise all the prices and say it's tariffs.
I mean, there is still inflation, and there is still some issues in the in the chain of different foods and food products and so on that are going to happen. Like the whole thing with eggs, right? It's so ridiculous how this constantly going back to the eggs. It's there's absolutely nothing that Donald Trump can do about the price of eggs. It's so silly. The price of eggs went up because we had avian flu that was going through the populations in many of these hatcheries, many of the different ranches, the farms where they're raising the chickens, and if any of the animals are sick, they have to destroy all of them. And so that means that now they can't make eggs, right?
Right,
They don't have any eggs to sell for a while until they
right.
can have more chickens that have been raised up and they're of the right age to start laying. And so it's not something that you can magically just turn on or off. Right, it's just something that with the avian flu coming through, a lot of the supply has been disrupted, and it's going to take a little while to clear all that out, make sure that we don't have any other populations that are getting
By
that
the
avian
way,
flu.
Tex Rogers, who's a friend of the channel, says it's the olives, they're from Italy. You know what? And the anchovies were imported. I usually don't eat anchovies. I don't love them.
Yeah.
Senpai, at least it's not pineapple. Let me tell you something about pineapple. Usually when I order a pizza, I won't eat it with pineapple. It's not like the top of my list and I won't get it. But once in a very, very long time, like in a blue moon, I suddenly have a craving for pineapples on a pizza. It's not something like I said, the majority of the time if I order, it's not going to be that. But once in a while, I do find the contrast of whatever happens in the pizza and the pineapple interesting as sort of like a one-off once every like blue moon. But I don't hate it. That's why when people are like, "Oh no, pineapples," I don't hate it. I think that anchovies, which also on a blue moon, especially I'm with people and some other people like it, then once in a while I'll eat that. But the anchovies usually have this very kind of fishy taste that's like hard to ignore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm kind of cool with lots of different pizza toppings. I've tried lots of wild stuff together. If you're asking me what I want, I'm gonna say supreme every time. Just give me like four different meats and a bunch of vegetables and stuff. No broccoli. Broccoli on a pizza is just wrong. Just it doesn't work. Not even cooked. Anchovies. I've had anchovies. Little too salty for me, but I didn't mind them. Olives, fine. Pineapple, like you're making like a Hawaiian with pineapple and ham. Yeah, fine. Yeah, I'll eat it. Yeah, I've had lots of wild stuff on there. Now, when you start getting into even weirder stuff like dessert pizzas or corn on a pizza, like I don't know. No, thanks. But I've seen some really wild stuff. What was it that I saw? Was it like Brazilian pizza or something that I saw? It's just like the wildest stuff that they put on there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna have to look it up. Brazilian
But
pizza.
Token Crowd has something interesting to say here. Biden called all the egg-laying chickens, and one of Hunter's lawyer buddies bought egg stocks. I don't know. I don't have info. First of all, nothing would surprise me about anything, but I haven't heard that. But it wouldn't shock me if it was the truth. I just don't know. Like, I wouldn't put anything beside anybody. And
So, Thunder Thoughts. It said Brazilian pizza. Brazilian pizza has no hair. Yeah.
I think I understood that reference.
Yeah.
Shamalama says, I wish so badly you could all taste the pizza I get from an Italian restaurant here. Sure, it's good. I'm going to be honest, I live in an area, I live in New Jersey. I've said that before for those who didn't know. And I will say that where I live, there is a lot of good Italian food. I mean, really good stuff.
Oh,
I know a lot of
I
people
would
are like,
gain so much weight.
what'd you say?
I would gain so much weight with
Yeah,
really
it's
great
tough.
Italian
It's
food
tough.
around.
Like around here, somebody was asking in the chat about Papa John's. Around here, most people don't order from Papa John's. Like there is, I will say that there are Papa John's in in the area that I live. Like I've seen them, and you can order from there, and I'm sure some people do for whatever reasons. But most people that eat pizza where I live, they order from a place that's like an Italian restaurant or something like that, or a pizzeria that's just its own thing, not these kind of chains. I'm very lucky that in this area there's just so many kind of authentic Italian restaurant and pizzerias
Yes.
that I don't have to go through these kind of more corporate ones.
Yeah, we don't. We have a couple of local places. None of them are particularly amazing, unfortunately. But yeah. Oh, whenever we get to visit home in Oklahoma, there is an amazing Italian restaurant. You wouldn't think Oklahoma and Italian, but there's an amazing Italian restaurant there. Uh, it is the one place that everyone will agree on to go eat. They have amazing bread that they bring you at the beginning, with olive oil and balsamic vinegar to dip it in, and just amazing dishes. It's so good. And yeah, I really wish we had like a really great, just like family style Italian place around. But no, it's no good. Just have to work on making my own.
Yeah, I mean, you could make your own pizza, I guess, right?
Yeah,
It's
I've
not
done it.
impossible.
I've done it. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's not the like you go to like a really good Italian place where they go out to to make your pizza, and they're putting it in like the brick oven, the wood fired oven. That's real special, right? I've actually been meaning to try making pizza on the smoker. I've been told making it in the Traeger smoker is actually really good, but I have not done that yet. We're gonna try that this summer. But yeah, just no really good places for that around here.
So I see you shared. I see you shared with us. Senpai76 shared with us something. Is
He's
this
talking
where
about Japanese pizza and how they the wild things they put on Japanese pizza.
I want to look at it now? Thanks to Senpai for the tip. Sakura is a cherry tree. I thought cherry or something. Cherry tree. I thought that's what Sakura
Mhm.
meant. Somebody can correct me. I'm always like, that's the funny thing. I'm always saying all this stuff in languages and I don't know anything. I probably made a mistake. But Sakura is not a cherry tree.
Yeah, sakura. That's the blossoms off of the cherry trees. Yeah, it's sakura.
Admit it, Professor. I sometimes impress you.
Well, I knew that one, but I'm kind of a Japanophile, so
Right, but considering that I don't know anything. You're knowledgeable about stuff. I don't know anything. So when I know something, it's a surprise.
it's impressive. Yes.
That's why it's impressive because nobody has any expectations for me. Did Jeanette say if I spoke in French, by the way, or I never heard back? So I guess this is her way of being diplomatic.
Jeanette.
Jeanette. I don't know if she ever did. You see that she said anything? No, I
Oh,
don't.
I did not.
Uh,
I did not.
Well, Jeanette, if you get a chance, let me know. I missed it the first time around. If you said anything, probably she's pleading the fifth here. Anyhow, what's on these pizzas? The Japanese one. This looks okay. I mean, so it's kind of weird, but it's probably good. I think I'd probably like it. If nothing else, it would probably be unique. No?
I'm sure it would be. Yeah, I'm sure it would be really unique.
You know what? I'll tell you what. Like, I've always gotten the impression that Japanese people take what they do very seriously. And I feel like if we went to a restaurant and it sold pizza in Japan, it would probably taste really good. I don't know if it would taste like a pizza, like, the way we know it. Maybe it would taste like something else. But I have a feeling that whatever it would probably be good.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Senpai says that the Sakura has squid.
Listen, I believe everything.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just it's going to be like a wacky Japanese kind of thing, but
Yeah,
I have a feeling that if I ate it, I'd probably like it.
Yeah, squid and scallops. I can see
You
them
know
on
what?
that picture.
Screw it. I'll eat the squid and the scallops on the pizza. I'm
Hey,
sure
you know
it's
what?
good.
I'd try it. I would.
I try it. Why not? I wish I was in Japan now eating squid and scallops on a
Oh
pizza.
my god, yes. Yeah,
Totally.
that's a life. One of my bucket list things is to get to go and visit Japan and enjoy the
I've never
cuisine
been
over
there, and I
there.
really
And
want to go. It's
yeah,
just it doesn't.
yeah.
It hasn't. I just haven't had a chance.
Yeah,
Hypnocrap says, "You calamari on pizza sounds effing bomb." I agree. It does sound good. I'll believe squid as well. Yeah, I think Japanese culture looks cool. Like if already, going to Asia, I think that I enjoy going to Japan. It looks like such a unique and interesting place. And if there's one regret that I have is that I didn't go to Japan. I've told you before, I was in Laos, and I was in Thailand, and I was in India for like a sort of extended amount of times. When I say extended, I mean like, I think I was like a month or two, maybe close to 2 months in India. I think I was around a month in Thailand, and then maybe a few weeks in Laos.
yeah,
That was I love those places.
yeah. Cool.
It's so great. Like I can't, I couldn't go there the same way I did then. I've told you that before, but I absolutely loved it, and it's nice. It's nice to get away and to do different things. I
Yeah.
was also in Amsterdam. Did you know that?
Oh my goodness.
I spent, I believe it was probably a week at least that I spent there. It was a very interesting, very interesting visit.
Yeah. By the way, Matt Cat does not agree with us on the Japanese pizza. He says that Japanese pizza looks like dog shit, yo.
I don't think so. I think it looks good.
Sorry,
I am very excited. I would eat this pizza right now if you gave it to me. I want all the shrimp and the calamari on it, and the squid and the eels. Like, I'll take it. But that's just me. In any case, thanks for sharing this with us, Senpai76. Anyhow, ZG Alpha says, I'm rewinding to the start and catching up at twice the speed, but I'm hoping my interest in flight sim gear gets a break with the tariffs. You're probably well past this by the time I say this. I understand what you're saying. First of all, I am honored that you even decided to go back and watch at 2 times the speed.
If you don't start from the beginning, you're never going to be able to follow where we're going with these stories, Bryce. We're all over the place. If you skip ahead and all of a sudden we're talking about Japanese pizza, you're just going to say, how the hell did they get here?
The nice thing is the people that watch this stream know that we're going to get to like some strange Japanese pizza, and they're not even phased out by it. But I guess
they're just rolling with it, talking about their favorite pizzas.
They're
Babs
just
says she wants to go to Japan and open a taco stand, so that sounds good. Yeah.
Superior Nav says, have you seen The Accountant 2 yet? How much do you hate it? You know what? I did see it, and I'm going to talk about it. But let's first of all see what number 2 in our list of topics are.
There's
So I
something about
believe.
Paramount here, buddy. I have not read this. What's going on with Paramount?
Okay. So right now, for all of you watching with us here, you're watching the Night Owl. We take our technology here very seriously, and I'm going to create a special banner just for the occasion. So I'm removing the old banner, and now I'm putting up a new banner. Paramount.
Do a drum roll on your desk, but don't knock anything off.
Tough choice.
That's for
what
you,
I said.
Ista.
That they have a tough choice. That's what I said in the title, right?
Yes.
Okay. Paramount's tough choice. So I don't know if you know this. What happened is that Paramount has had a lot of financial issues and problems, and for a very long time, they've been trying to close this deal where there's sort of a, a merger acquisition type of situation with Skydance.
Yes.
Now, Skydance are their partners, anyways. This is all very strange, and this is all like sons of billionaires. You have Sherry Redstone, who herself was the daughter of a billionaire that owned it, and then you have Ellison, who's the son. He's the son of David Ellison. Which Ellison is this one? He's also like they're both children, heirs of billionaires.
Yeah.
Yeah, so David Ellison is the Skydance Media CEO.
Mhm.
Who's his father? Which Ellison is he? Larry Ellison. Okay, I got it.
Larry Ellison. Yeah.
So
it's not Harlan Ellison. I'll tell you that much.
so Larry Ellison is the father, and then David Ellison is the son. And with Sherry Redstone, it was like Sumner Redstone or whatever. What was her father? There was also some other Redstone there. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah.
So basically, these are two kids that got everything handed to them, and they just spend a lot of money and do silly things. I personally think that Paramount could have been so much more successful, and there have been so many stupid decisions made by her and with her business with Skydance. There were also a lot of like dumb things going on. And for a long time, I think that the people that own stock in Paramount and were worried about the situation and the status and losing all the money, they were really hoping that there would be either a buyout or a merger and all this other stuff. And for so long, Sherry Redstone pretty much seemingly crushed every chance of making a deal. At the end, they sort of reached an agreement with Skydance, which again, even that is another son of a billionaire who also, I don't know if all of his choices are so great, but I guess they wanted to do this thing together and to continue whatever it is, with a merged company. And ever since they've wanted to do this, they've run into a lot of issues. First of all, people that are shareholders or investors or different things like that, they feel like she wasn't open with them and honest about different parties that wanted to do a merger or wanted to buy Paramount. And that's one thing that annoyed them, that they didn't like the direction that she took it, and they didn't want this specific deal because they thought that there were better deals out there.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, what's happening is that the deal is now being held up because of none other than Donald Trump. You know this, right?
I had not heard about Trump holding up the deal.
Okay, so what happened is this. If you remember, this is so wild. This is so wild because for years this thing has like been a dysfunctional, stupid company, like the way they run things, and all this like talk of buying them out or merging or acquisition, all that stuff for years. And at the end, the thing that's like the biggest obstacle now seems to be Donald Trump, and the reason for it is because of the 60 Minutes debacle. The 60 Minutes is part of CBS.
Lawsuit.
CBS is part of Paramount. Paramount is part of that National Amusements, whatever Sherry Redstone is the owner of, and Skydance are, they already do a lot of business with Paramount, but they want to become like partner or whatever it is. So is it a full takeover of Skydance, or is it like a merger? I'm trying to see for a second.
I think Skydance was just completely taking over.
I see.
All of Paramount. Yeah.
I keep saying that because like a merger and stuff, because I just don't believe that Sherry Redstone is going to step aside. She always seems to make a deal, but then she doesn't want to make one. I feel like she has a big ego and just wants to continue to be in the mix. See, like if it was you and I and we had a company and somebody's like, here's like a few $1 billion, why don't you take it and go? I would take the few $1 billion and go. But when you come from a family that you already have billions of dollars, and even if you get more billions or less billions, you'll still have billions of dollars. Your mentality is very different. Do you get what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah. So
And that's what
it does look like it was going to be a merger. So
that's
yeah,
what I
because
thought.
they were going to merge into a new entity called Paramount Skydance Corporation.
I am telling you, there were people that I think wanted her to flat out sell and get out because nobody thinks that her leadership is that great. I don't think anybody's like singing her praises. They wanted her to get lost, but instead she continued to stall and deflect offers and do all this stuff until she could do sort of a, billionaires scratching each other, billionaire heirs scratching each other's backs with her and David Ellison. And that's how they would have merged and continued to work together. And not a lot would have been changing. It just would have looked good. Do you get what I mean? It was,
Sure.
it's all I've said this before, and I said it, and I think I was on Midnight's Edge, or Midnight's Edge After Dark with Tom and a few other people, and I said it, and people were kind of pushing back. And I said, this lady, all she cares about is one thing. She wants to go to a cocktail party, probably like, in where's the snooty place? Monaco, is that snooty enough?
Sure.
She wants to go to a cocktail party there with all like these like important people in the world and like all these billionaires, and she wants to say, yes, like, my company Paramount, we're doing a lot of movies and stuff. That's what she wants to say. And in order for her to hold on to that stupid thing, she will make a lot of people miserable. And it doesn't even have to make any financial sense. She already has billions. That's a very dangerous situation. It's the same thing that like, not the same exact thing, but it's also what I think about Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen Kennedy has hundreds, and her husband have hundreds of millions of dollars. Whether or not Star Wars gets driven into the ground or not, whether or not it goes up in flames, it won't really matter to her bottom line. She's not in danger of living on the street. She doesn't. I mean, yeah, her legacy and all that stuff, maybe that matters to her, but her resume isn't in danger. Her bank account isn't in danger. This is her retirement years. Instead of retiring, she ruined Star Wars. Most people, when they retire, they sit in the garden and they knit sweaters. Kathleen Kennedy, when she retired, it was to ruin Star Wars. That's the equivalent of her knitting sweaters. You understand?
Yes.
But
Yes, agreed.
back to the Paramount's tough choice. So I want to share this. I want to share this article with you. People watching this show are like, "How did he get from here to there?" So Paramount's tough choice. That's even not the one that I wanted to share. Let's share this one instead. Oh, so this is from the Hollywood Reporter. It says, has 60 Minutes run out of time? Sherry Redstone's painful predicament. Now, what happened here is because of Donald Trump and this lawsuit, that actually is keeping this whole deal from happening. So part of the reason maybe one of those 60 Minutes producers ended up quitting or not quitting, being pushed out, or all this stuff that there's all this like, tension between the management, Paramount and 60 Minutes and CBS, why this whole thing is happening is that there is a chance that perhaps Redstone and anybody else involved here just want this whole Trump thing to go away. The funny thing is that in this case, in my opinion, Trump actually has a strong case. There have been cases where, maybe he sues somebody and you don't know how it's going to turn out. In this case with CBS and Paramount, I think that he has an actual shot of winning a case. Do you know, winning a trial or whatever?
Everything was so publicly shown to be a disaster.
Right, right.
That they did. I mean, yeah.
We've seen the footage. We've seen the different
Yeah.
things. It would be difficult to convince me that they didn't do what he's saying that they did. And I say that this is before he won the election or anything like that. I remember when this interview aired, initially, I think you and I were kind of chuckling at how kind of softball, and it seemed to be edited very in her favor, but we just didn't realize how much. Then quickly, it turned out that very quickly that the interview was very different than what we saw even in the trailer. And that's where they really messed up. I mean, and the guy that's like in charge of 60 Minutes, that he's like, oh, I'm tired of this. I want to quit. I'm tired of all these people. It's like, dude, you should be thankful that they didn't fire you and throw you out on the street when that happened, because you're an idiot. And in my opinion, and I'll tell you why I think he's an idiot, because if you want to do something sneaky, at least do it well. I mean, his sneakiness was that there was a trailer that showed that she answered one answer, and when he watched the interview, they edited it differently with a different answer so that she would look better.
Yep.
If you don't understand the difference between a trailer and then the actual show, and then when you show one thing and then you see something else and everybody's on to you, if you don't understand that, you shouldn't. You're not a good schemer. You're not good enough. He's not even a good like weasel. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Like he's an unsuccessful alleged weasel. And then he's like, "No, I can't deal with this anymore. Like if that's the way it's going to be, I'm going to leave." It's like, dude, how do you even have a job? And I've said it before. This is like me, like a broken record. Here on the Night Owl, I don't think we've ever edited the story to look differently. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
News organizations that are much more shady than, seemingly shady than 60 Minutes, that are supposed to be like the gold standard of news. Here on the Night Owl, we would never do something like this.
Yep.
Unless it was like a parody situation where we're making fun of something. We wouldn't pretend that we're really doing an interview and just start cutting and pasting things. I would feel really weird about that. So I don't know why that guy. And then now I guess what happened is that Scott Pelley ended the last show of 60 Minutes where he's kind of declaring a rebellion against the corporate overlords at Paramount. It's like, dude, shut up already. You know what normal people would do? Anybody that took accountability, all you have to do is say this: listen, we fucked up. Sorry, Sean. We messed up. We made a mistake. We did something stupid. You can come out and say, listen, there was an intern here. I didn't even know what he was doing. I'm an idiot. How did I do it? Try something creative. Instead, they're like, they don't want to accept responsibility. They don't want to say that they did it. They don't want to quit. They don't want to, be told what to do. And at the end, even they're sitting there and like, complaining. What are you complaining about?
And if they would just issue a public apology, I bet this suit would disappear.
Probably.
If they publicly said, "Hey, here, we're responsible for editing this, and if it was deceitful, whatever, that's on us," and blah blah blah. I'm sure that they could work out something that that what Trump would accept besides the money. If would it discredit them? Probably. But that's their fault. They discredited themselves.
And of course, the Hollywood Reporter is like, oh, they're trying to do their spin. What's got everybody so worked up, of course, is the $20 billion lawsuit, that's billion with a B, President Trump lobbed onto the 60 Minutes set last year, claiming that the show had perpetrated election interference by editing a videotaped interview with Kamala Harris from its original 45 minutes to a more broadcast-friendly 21 minutes. The same way 60 Minutes had, without complaint, edited Trump's interview from 45 to 20 minutes during the 2020 campaign. The way, in fact, TV news has been editing interviews since Edward R. Murrow was cutting them on Kinescope. The only difference is, they could have said all of this, but there's only one catch. The fact that he asked her a question and they pasted the answer from a different question, that's already not like cutting it for time. There's a difference between cutting it for time. If she spoke about an issue for like 10 minutes and they decided to like speed up that process, maybe you could get away with it. But am I wrong that it seemed like she was answering a completely different question and they pasted it?
Yeah, there was a follow-up question in between, and then they used the answer from the follow-up question for the initial response.
I mean, if they were smart at that
yeah.
point, what they needed to do was come clean immediately, say there was a mistake here in the editing. There was an intern that like edited it incorrectly. We're going to launch an investigation on our end. We apologize for the mistake. We're going to air the full on-air thing now. Do something proactive. And I think that in that case, it would have been difficult as the elections were still happening. Maybe you could somehow save face and get out of a lawsuit. But the fact that they pretended like they didn't do anything wrong, that's not the same as cutting it from 45 to 20 minutes. Trust me, if this was just something petty, I would tell you, but I remember seeing it and thinking that's probably not what they should have done. You don't paste one answer on another.
No, on to a different question. Yeah.
And then Hollywood Reporter. I love how Hollywood Reporter are always the same mouthpiece. Nobody always are like hard left. Nobody is taking Trump's lawsuit seriously. Probably not even Trump. It has next to no chance of prevailing in court. But what is being taken seriously, especially by Sherry Redstone, president of National Amusements and controlling shareholder of Paramount Global, which owns CBS, which produces 60 Minutes, is the fact that Redstone is trying to sell her company for $8 billion to Skydance Media. You know what? Even if Trump just wanted to throw a monkey wrench into her plans, even that's kind of funny. It's like finally after all these years she was going to pull off like her silly merger deal, and then like he came and he sued her with his thing. That deal requires approval from the FCC, which is has the authority to review transfers of broadcast licenses, a necessary step for Skynet and Paramount to complete their transaction. And of course, the FCC is now run by Trump appointee Brendan Carr, who has not so subtly hinted that certain complaints against 60 Minutes are likely to arise, and that if Redstone wants the deal to go smoothly, she probably should settle the $20 billion suit with the guy in the Oval Office. You know, all I can say is that they got themselves into this trouble. I'm sure that they probably hoped that Kamala would win, and then they wouldn't be in this situation. Then they wouldn't have to worry about any of it, and it wouldn't have mattered. But now in this situation, it's not a good situation. That's why if you're a news organization, you should probably remain a little more neutral and not go like hard left trying to like push candidates that you prefer. Somehow these things have a way of coming back to people. I mean, does it seem right? Like, could one accuse Trump of being a bit petty and stuff like that? Maybe, but at the same time, I actually think that as opposed to what this article says, I think that he has something of a case here. I saw what they did, and I think that what they did was wrong, and they needed to take responsibility. So funny how at the end, all of these people with their billions, all these heirs, are sitting around and like waiting to see what happens with Trump.
Yep.
Well,
it'll be interesting. Obviously, this merger has been up in the air for a while. Was it not supposed to close like at the start of this month, and now it's still up in the air?
Here's what it says. The point here, after a lot of nonsense and like their weird propaganda, it says the point here is this: Redstone is trapped in a lose-lose situation. She fights Trump on the 60-minute suits. It could blow up the Skydance deal, leaving her company bleeding on the floor. If she caves to Trump and settles, it could blow up 60 Minutes, the crown jewel of Paramount's news division. If that's your crown jewel, you're not doing too great. Because I feel like 60 Minutes is a dinosaur at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of a...
They don't have any credibility anymore, and one of its few truly trusted global brands leaving the company bleeding on the floor. Come to think of it, that ticking sound may not be a stopwatch or a bomb. It could be something worse. Donald Trump counting down the seconds until the free press runs out of time. Of course they had to shove that stupid thing in there.
Yeah, it's always the free press. Yeah.
This is coming from the Hollywood
Reporter
press that have done like a run interference for the likes of Kathleen Kennedy and Disney for several years. They're talking about like the free press. They are the exact people that have called people like us ists and phobes for not liking Disney's output. They've subscribed to any kind of weird narrative, any kind of far left, extreme left stuff, always peddled into this thing. And they're like, oh, the free press.
Yep.
I'm not saying, I mean, they are allowed to write all that stuff. It is free press. You could say it. But to pretend that somehow the way they're suggesting here that like they're seemingly objective in this whole description, and somehow suggesting that 60 Minutes is also objective and all these people are so objective. This is the legacy media. Don't pretend you're all objective. Like most people don't even trust the legacy media. We haven't for several years because we were sort of on top of things much sooner than a lot of other people. But gradually, a lot of other people have had it. And I think that these days you read an article and you barely believe what you're reading even. Much like this one. So that was Paramount's tough choice. And whether Trump knew what he was doing or not, I wonder if he knew that they needed those deals at the time he sued them, or he just sued them because he just felt like it. But man, this probably makes him chuckle on a daily basis because he put them in such a complicated situation, and there's something about it that makes me chuckle. It's not like I sat around, I don't really care one way or another, but it does make me chuckle a bit.
Yeah. Yep. We got a few super stickers and some super chats to review, Price.
Oh, okay. Let me do that right now. This is always good. Let me see. Okay. So we got, we said before he's handling is to Phobos and Mary White with a 20 Price of Reason Live gift membership. Istophobos gave a poop sticker for 99 cents. Thank you, Istophobos. I really appreciate it.
Would
Big
not
Ship.
be an episode of The Night Owl without a poop sticker. So thank you. Yes.
The Big Ship says, "Hey guys, what's the best movie of all time, and why is it Godzilla '98?" Well, for me, the best movie of all time has to be The Godfather 1, but I understand, people have their own favorites. When it comes to Godzilla '98, you know, I only saw that movie once many years ago, and I think that what I didn't really like, I didn't love Matthew Broderick in it. I don't dislike Matthew Broderick. The whole movie with him, somehow when I think about it, I don't think about it so positively. I haven't tried to rewatch it. Maybe I would rewatch it now and have a better feeling about it. I didn't hate it. I don't think I watched it and I thought, oh, this is the worst movie I've ever seen. But I think that I wasn't satisfied with it, and I don't know why.
No,
It
I'm gonna have to stop you there, Price. I'm sorry. I don't know what you're talking about. Godzilla 1998. This is a masterpiece created by Roland Emmerich. Matthew Broderick puts in the performance of his life in this film. It is clearly one of the best films of all time. I really don't know what you mean.
Are you serious?
No, I am not serious. No, absolutely actually hate this movie. It's terrible.
I
I
mean,
remember
listen,
watching it in the theater going, "Oh my god, why are we still here? This is terrible."
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember enough about it. I honestly I wish I how do I okay, this is what I want to. I don't remember enough about it. I remember thinking that I was disappointed. Not enough to say that I hate the movie, but I actually was a bit disappointed, and I don't know why. Probably because of the reason that you mentioned. The Dead Man gave a 99-cent poop sticker. Thank you, The Dead Man. The Dead Man is a friend of the channel as well. So is The Big Ship, by the way. So is Istophobos and Mary White. And we're always very, very grateful. We don't often ask for donations or anything like that, and we don't do the whole PBS thing, but we do appreciate when people do donate because it's always great. So we thank you for that. And beyond that, if you're watching this right now, whatever platform, if you're on Rumble watching it and you haven't yet signed up for Rumble, if you're watching through the app and you haven't signed up, you should totally sign up. It's free. And then you should also follow us so that you know whenever we're streaming. In addition, if you're on any other platform, please like and subscribe. That helps us a lot. So that's also very greatly appreciated. That was my PBS moment. But now I'm done with that PBS moment and
Yep.
we're good to go.
And we can start talking about our review of Godzilla 1998 once again.
Well, there was a few things. First of all, I saw The Accountant. People asked me if I saw The Accountant, number 2, and I did see The Accountant. So, did you see it?
Oh no, I have not gotten to see. I didn't see the first one, so I wasn't particularly interested in this one.
Okay, so let me see if I can find it.
Yep.
I'm going to show
probably sneaking out to see something on Thursday though, Price.
You are? What are you going to see?
Oh, I think I'm just going to have to go see the Thunderdolts.
Oh, it comes out
Thursday.
on Thursday?
Yep.
That's good to know. I'll have to see it. Okay. So The Accountant 2, I see that on Rotten Tomatoes, which I don't really consider anything. It has a 78% with critics, 92% with audience score. I take those things really with a grain of salt. Now, I will say this. I saw the first Accountant, and you know what? I thought it was a pretty good movie. I enjoyed it. I'm not the biggest Ben Affleck fan usually. I think that sometimes he finds movies that he is better in than others. I feel like The Accountant 1 was a pretty kind of nice movie. It combined, I don't know if you know anything about it. I don't think it's a spoiler. He's sort of a high-functioning autistic guy, but at the same time, he has like sort of a military background going on. He also does like, he knows how to fire guns and do like, kind of combat, how do I explain it?
Yeah.
Action, like he can
Yeah.
beat people up and
Yeah.
shoot people and things like that. So he does that, and he's
then he
also
balances his spreadsheets in Excel. Yeah.
he does all of he does a bunch of things. He's a Renaissance man.
Yeah.
And so the first Accountant was pretty cool. The second accountant, I thought that it was nice that it sort of it's a decent sequel to whatever was happening in the first one. If I had to give my honest opinion, I think that the first accountant movie was a bit better than the second one. But at the same time, the second one for me was a pretty fun time at the movies. Sometimes I've said it on a number of occasions, even in the past year or this year. Sometimes there's a movie that comes along, it's not going to change the world. It's not going to be revolutionary or reinvent the whole genre of action movies. It's not going to reinvent cinema as a medium. But if you go in there with a bucket of popcorn and like a soft drink, and you sit there for a few hours, it'll entertain you to some extent. You have in this movie in the previous, you have in these movies, you have also John Bernthal who plays. I don't want to ruin it for whoever may have not have seen it, but if you like him in The Punisher,
Mhm.
these are good movies to see him in. So I already like that. You know what I mean? I'm already
Sure.
action with these guys, and Ben Affleck I think does pretty well here too. It's a serviceable, enjoyable movie. It doesn't have to be like reinventing the wheel, if that makes sense.
All right. So just kind of a, sort of basic enjoyable action flick.
Absolutely. If you like, kind of, it's even a bit better. There's a bit of thought to it. I like the angle of what they did there. The first accountant, I believe it's on Amazon Prime and it's free. If you ever get a chance, you should check it out. It's not bad. It's certainly, listen, it all depends. If you like action movies and you just want to kind of kick back for like 2 hours of a nice action movie, totally cool. The first accountant, the second accountant had some things that I liked about it. I will say the only thing I'll say about the second accountant is that something about the writing of the screenplay. There were a few moments, and this very rarely happens to me, that in the movie I'm like, wait, how did they get from here to there? How did this happen? Why is this happening? And I had a few of those throughout the movie that even until now, I'm not 100% sure. It's as if there were things that happened, but there wasn't a full explanation as to why they were happening, and the strange thing is, with a little more effort, they could have explained what happened, but they didn't. So, if I had some criticism to it, it would be that in the second one. But if you kind of put that aside and just look at it as a fun kind of action movie, I feel like one and two deliver that. One for me better than the second one, but I enjoyed them both for whatever they were. Popcorn movie.
All right. All right.
Uh, by the way, this is my first Rumble subscription. Insert off-color jokes. Thank you, Elizabeth. I don't even know. Did I get an announcement? I feel like we didn't get an announcement.
Yeah,
That
yeah. It might not have. It didn't really show on our end here,
it
but
didn't show on our
it's
end.
in the
But we are
regular. It's in the regular Rumble chat. Yeah.
well. David says, "Can somebody help me here? The live is not visible for me. I don't know what you're talking about. If you can hear us, then we're here."
Yep. Might need to reload. Maybe close down the browser. Come back. I'm not sure why the live would not be showing.
So Istophobos says John Bernthal had me in stitches. He's a lot of fun. I like that actor. I like him in an action setting. I feel like the first movie knew how to do some interesting things with him. The second movie even more so. It's like the second movie they really they really perfected that. By the way, did you see that thing that I'm looking at?
The accountant.
No, there's something there in the thing. Something
Oh.
to remove, maybe?
Oh. I'm looking.
I don't know. I thought it was one
Oh,
of those. Maybe I'm wrong.
okay. I'm looking through the Rumble chat. I assume.
I don't know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. And I could be
Okay.
wrong, but I just I don't have time to look at it. Sometimes like strange buzzwords appear and I'm like, what is this? Anyhow. Yeah, that was great until de Blasio ruined it. I don't know who de Blasio? De Blasio was the mayor of New York, wasn't he? I have no idea. I've lost like the chat. I don't know what they're talking about. This chat has gone off the rails. Why were they talking about de Blasio? You sound like my high school kids when I tried to teach math to illiterate kids in the New York City. I don't know. Anyhow, in any case, what I wanted to say is de Blasio was kind of a guy that he seemed like a swell guy, and everybody was so happy to vote for him. And everybody thought he was so great. He was going to be such a great mayor. He didn't seem to be such a great mayor. Now, I at this point was not living in New York anymore, so really didn't have a direct effect on me. But from what I can tell, I don't think that de Blasio lived up to the hype. And I will say this, even though I probably shouldn't, I once met de Blasio. I think maybe we shook hands. That's not something to be proud of, but that did happen. So I've added to the lore. Leslie Headland and de Blasio. Melvin, if you need to clip this one. Anyhow, so back to this thing, The Accountant 2. I think it's decent. If you have Amazon Prime, watch the first one for free. If you feel like having a nice popcorn movie, Accountant 2 does what it's supposed to do, especially if you're fans of like The Punisher or action movies or things like that. Certainly a lot to enjoy here.
Very nice.
That's my review.
Yeah,
Now,
and good night, Sean Green says he's got to go sleep soon. So yeah, thanks for joining us, Sean.
That's fine.
And
then there was something else going on. What else? Oh, Andor. Oh, and I left Paramount's Tough Choice. He didn't say anything. I need to be better about these like titles. What are we talking about now? Andor.
Oh, Andor now. All right.
Episode. I only watched the first one. I almost got to the end of it. Is it episode 4? Discussion. Did you watch anything?
I got to see the first of the new episodes this week. I was able to squeeze that in earlier this evening. So yeah, episode 4. Yeah. Did you get to watch any?
Yeah, I watched the first one, but I don't even think I saw the last few minutes of it. But what I'll say is this. There are some interesting ideas in it, but man, listen, I don't need all these kind of drama between these characters and them blabbing and talking. There is too much, these kind of conversation in hallways or whatever you want to call them. I feel like Star Wars needs to be a balance between like fantasy, adventure. You could throw in a bit of politics. You could show the inner workings of the Empire. You can show what rebels are doing. But man, there's a difference between a slow burn and to just like, make things really slow and annoying. And this show always goes more in the direction of annoying me.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I guess maybe before we get into it, we do have a super chat from the dead man. Maybe before we get too far into Andor.
Well, that's very important. Let's see what that super chat is. Okay. Price, I talked to Gul Dukat a couple of weeks ago, and he said that he was offended being compared to Gavin Newsom. If it were Benjamin, he said that he thought he thought we were friends.
Yes. Oh yes.
Okay, so you're referring to
I feel bad for
here.
Gul Dukat there. Yeah, Benjamin Sisko. Yeah.
Right, I get it. So it's Captain Sisko and Gul Dukat. I'm trying to see. Okay, I got it. Because Gul Dukat is like a scumbag, but he was offended that he was being compared to Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
The thing
he's way more oily, way more greasy than Gul Dukat.
You know what I always found interesting is that early in the episodes of Deep Space Nine and the earlier seasons, I felt that Gul Dukat over time was forming a bit of a bond with the characters we see on Deep Space Nine. Like he was bad, but there were moments that they saw eye to eye. And I thought that was like, overall, over time, maybe that would become that they'd grow closer. Instead, like at the end, he's like a much bigger enemy than anticipated. Am I right? Is that a good description?
Sure.
Like they,
yeah.
Do you think that they always intended to make him as evil as he ended up being, or do you think that they weren't sure what to do with him?
I don't think that they initially meant for him to be sort of the be all end all villain. through the whole piece. I think sort of that idea evolved after a little while, but he was definitely meant to be a menacing presence,
For sure.
especially in the early seasons, and the eventually the role that he took on of sort of being the the final the final boss. I don't know if they had that in mind from the start. I really don't, but
I
I thought it
felt
worked really well
it worked
when
well,
they
and I
did.
was cool with it, but I do feel like initially it was menacing. Then it seemed like over time, there were moments that like he saw eye to eye, or had moments that you maybe humanized him a little more. But then they took like another U-turn and went back like full on bad guy to the max, like final boss level of bad guy. And I just thought it was kind of surprising.
Yeah, yeah. They when they introduced his Bajoran daughter, half Bajoran daughter, and then when she dies, and he completely loses his damn mind during those last couple seasons. Yeah, that's when he goes full on mustache twisting evil crazy guy. Like yeah, and
Wait,
I thought that worked really well.
Beatles 3 says this bullcrap. We're not AI. We're real people. There's no AI that would be as silly as we are. I don't think that's. If there's an AI that can put together this strange stream, then I don't know. Then I'll be really impressed. Not that we're even anything special, but I feel like AI would be more sophisticated.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to find an AI that would actively defend Godzilla 98 as a joke on stream.
Right.
So yeah, that's
Hypnocrap says Andor started oh snap. Oh, don't worry, you didn't miss anything. So I watched the first episode. I didn't even get to the final few minutes because we had to start our stream and I was doing things. But man, is this thing do you agree that this is very slow?
yes, it continues to be slow. I will say that I did enjoy the fourth episode more than I liked the first three. Mostly because I felt like the story was more focused.
I'll give you
The
that.
In those first three episodes, they just kept jumping back and forth. A stupid wedding, and then everything that was happening on the Snyder planet with all the wheat and everything, and then they had then the story with the bureaucrat guy and his ISB girlfriend and everything bickering with his bickering with his mother. I was just, oh, just why do I need any of this? And then you have the central character to this to the show. You've got Andor, who is sidelined by being kidnapped by a bunch of hillbillies for 3 episodes. It's just ridiculous. So yeah, no, the first 3 episodes, I it was such a mess in those first 3 episodes. I get why some people are enjoying it. There's definitely some interesting things happening there. There is some story that's happening there, but for the most part, it's just it was just so messy and sloppy, and there's so much of it. You just feel like I don't care. Like, okay, I get it. Mon Mothma is going through so much. She's sacrificing in ways that people don't understand by giving away her daughter to to this guy to gain the funds that she needs for the rebellion, and she's having to deal with her one of her oldest friends who's potentially might be betraying her and risking the rebellion, and all the stuff that she's kind of having to sacrifice. I get that. That could have been like a 20-minute scene. I didn't have to keep going back and seeing their weird wedding and crap that was going on
No, nobody did.
for episode after episode. None of it really mattered. I just didn't care. And
I'm going to
then
say something. I'm going to
yeah,
say something very controversial, Professor. I like Mon Mothma, when she appears in A New Hope. It's nice that there's a character like that. I've always liked her. I don't really know if I needed so much information about her. You know what I'm saying?
sure,
I don't
yeah,
think that, like, if you have a good rebellion story and you have something to do with that character, okay. But man, talk about like this really seems like another one of those Kathleen Kennedy desperate. Like, there's a lady there. Let's make Mon Mothma so important that we talk about her all day and see whatever. Now, it's fine if you had something interesting to do with her, but just to see her daughter get married to some jerk, or her having to give her daughter away and all this weird stuff. Who gives a shit? Sorry, Sean. That's just of no interest to me. I'm sorry, like those 3 episodes, the first 3 were pretty awful. And this fourth one, did I enjoy it more than the other 3? I agree with you. It was more focused. But even when I was watching it, there was something that like Andor and like Bix are like bickering, and some of that I could really use less of. I don't need to see hours of going back and forth. No, but what about this? What about that? But what about this? Who killed that guy? Who killed? Shut up already. Shut the fuck up. Sorry, Sean. Shut up. Like, who cares? Do some rebellion stuff. I just need this to go a bit faster. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Do
It's
you agree
really
that it's taking too long? Like, I'm not saying
it
that every
really is.
conversation is bad. Also, like meetings and until they walk and until they talk to each other. Star Wars, if you look at like, the original trilogy and even the prequels or whatever you want to look at, there's a certain pacing to it. They don't just stand around there and talk in a hallway for 7 hours. Now, it's fine if you wanted to do something a little more mature and a little more nuanced and to tell the darker story. You can do all of those things, but you don't have to make it like this kind of slog, boring, long, very slow burn that puts everybody to sleep. You could still achieve all of that and make it a little more happening. It's not, this isn't just like some, when I watch The Godfather, I don't want it to be the pacing of Star Wars. I like that The Godfather moves slowly. I like that it's like a movie that's 3.5 hours and it's a slow burn. My favorite movie of all time. I absolutely love every minute of it, but that's not what should happen in Star Wars. Also, they're not filling that time that they have in every episode of Andor with enough information for me that I feel is necessary.
Yeah, they're really dragging it out,
They're
right?
dragging it, and I will say, I mean, the idea that this kind of Cyril guy, he's sort of trying to pretend to be nice to those rebels so that he could bring information about them. I don't completely dislike that idea. There's certainly something to work with there, but man, get to the point. You know, like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
all of this.
There were some. I mean, I can see what they're building on with this fourth episode, right? Well, I think where they're kind of building up some stuff. Kind of fascinating though that they we all thought, right, because they were bringing Gorman into this, right? A lot of people were guessing that they were going to be bringing in we were actually going to get to see the Gorman massacre, which is this thing that happened in the EU. It's well known. It's been talked about in I think it was maybe even mentioned in the Clone Wars, or no, it wasn't in the Clone Wars. It was somewhere else. I don't remember, but there's the Gorman massacre that happened where essentially there was a bunch of people on this planet Gorman that were attacked and killed, like hundreds of people by some troops underneath the orders of Tarkin, who eventually became Grand Moff Tarkin. And it was sort of one of the inciting incidents of the rebellion. So we thought, oh, we're gonna get to see that. No, apparently we find out in episode 4 it already happened like 15 years ago. there's a monument to this massacre, and people are angry because the empire is coming in to build a new skyscraper, and it's gonna like overshadow the monument or whatever to the massacre. So it's strange. I honestly, like I said, I did enjoy this episode a little bit more. I did not care so much for all the time that we spent with Bix and all the weirdness going on in her head. I don't think I really cared all that much for that. I do get that. I feel like they're taking that somewhere. That's going to be something that maybe compromises Andor at some point. But I don't know that I care that much. And then there was the whole thing with Saw Gerrera. I don't really know necessarily where that's going, other than they do want to bring Andor and Saw together at some point. But I don't know. That scene. What did you think about that scene with Forrest Whitaker? It felt like it really dragged on, like, and to no real purpose.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like they've done more with that character and actually animated in those kind of Rebels or whatever, wherever Clone Wars, wherever he appeared. In the movie Rogue One, I felt like there was really they didn't even know what to do with Saw Gerrera and that. I tend to think that there were reshoots there, and that somehow his part of the movie is just really dumb. So I don't know. I wasn't really excited about his appearance in Rogue One. Really didn't feel like I needed to see more of him here in Andor, but I guess they're trying to lead up to lead up to Rogue One. And here's another issue. This whole series is basically like a prequel to a prequel. Like Rogue One is a prequel to A New Hope, and this is a prequel to Rogue One. And I don't know if I needed so much prequeling here. I mean, relatively speaking, compared to all the other crap that Disney has put out, this is more competently made. But do I really need it? Do I really want these stories? Am I really craving them? And the truth is, I'm not really craving them, especially when you know what happens to Andor, and the guy, playing that character is not very charismatic to begin with, or at least he's not really good in this specific role. I feel like this series, so much money was put into it, and I wonder to myself until now if it was all worth it. I would have
Yeah.
preferred that you take all
Yeah.
of Disney Plus shows, all these like movies that they made. If you like wiped them all out and you made one good sequel trilogy that wasn't shit, sorry, Sean, I would have been very happy. That's all I ever wanted, and they couldn't even make it work.
We're still being told that this picks up at episodes 5 or 6, so I guess we have to get to those and see what happens. I'll be honest, the first season was very much the same, really slow to get started, and then things picked up. Things really started getting moving. There was an interesting story, interesting characters. That's we in the first season we got the when he went to prison, and we saw everything that was happening there. We saw everything that happened afterward. That's when things really started to move in that first season, and that's also when we got some of the best scenes with like Skarsgård delivering some incredible dialogue, really great meaty dialogue in there. That really brought the whole season up. I will not argue with anybody who says they got bored. The first few episodes of that first season really dull. There's not much going on, and so it really does go slowly. This season again feels like it's getting off to a really slow start. I really did not enjoy at all those first 3 episodes, especially them wanting to focus on bringing grapes into Star Wars. Like that's not a thing you should be proud of. I don't
No, not
understand
at
why
all.
you want to go out and trumpet that one from the rooftops. Oh, look what we did. We finally showed a character who was getting SA'd, right? It's like, no, I don't care. I don't want that in my Star Wars. Thanks. You could have had the exact same scene without anything happening like that, and her having to actually yell out the words, oh, he tried to to
You know what? I'll tell you this. You know
whatever.
how you could have done this scene? If this was like Princess Leia, you know what would have happened? She would have probably like called him in, and he'd be like sort of making advances and saying stuff, and she would have been like smiling. And meanwhile, like you see, she's like has a blaster hit somewhere, or like she has that wrench somewhere. And the more he comes and he's kind of this, and she's trying to makes it seem like he's all right, and she's going along with it, and suddenly she like hits him on the head with a thing, and like once like even she picks up a blaster and shoots him, and she walks outside and she sees the other soldier, then he says something like, what happened? And then she's like, he got a bit too friendly. You know what I mean? Like she could have had a comment that's more kind of, this was the girl boss moment. You could have had her more like a cool kind of, she got rid of the enemy, he didn't even stand a chance, and she comes out and she's all like kind of they love the girl boss moments. This was a legitimate place where you could have done one, and you could have made it cool. Do you got what I'm trying to say? It
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
have to be, you could have had a scene that does the exact same thing that wouldn't have been as miserable. You still would have understood what his intentions were. She as the woman still would have gotten her vengeance on him, and you could also even give her a little bit of attitude, the way Princess Leia had. You know what I mean? Like a little bit of confidence and attitude, and she got rid of him. You could have done all of that and it all would have worked just fine. But nope, They had to come out and say that this man served me grapes. And I think
And then
that,
she blows the next guy away, right?
right.
Yeah. Anyway, the first 3 episodes did nothing for me, and now you know, this 4th episode was better. It was interesting enough. I think I see where they're going, and I am now kind of interested to see what they're going to do with the rest of this 3-episode arc, and what they're going to tell with that story. But does that mean it's going to get considerably more interesting? I really don't know.
Well, according
We
to
have only like Film Threat, Chris Gore
right.
to
Chris Gore
trust on that
says
one.
that episode 6 is where this starts becoming good. And I'll say it again. Anything that I need to so 5 episodes I need to like snooze through
Yeah.
and get annoyed in order to get it to a sixth one that's good. That's a lot to ask of me.
Yeah, it's it's ridiculous, right? We've got a 9. What is it? Is it a 9 episode show, 12 episode show? I don't think I think did we ever confirm?
What'd you say?
What is it? 9 episodes? Is it 12 episodes?
I think it's 12 episodes. So I guess halfway through this season, you're supposed to start enjoying it. And then really, knowing how this thing works, 6th episode will probably interesting stuff will happen. Then like 7th, 8th is a snooze again. 9th will be something interesting will happen. 10th, 11th snooze. 12th something will happen. I just don't like working that way. Honestly,
Yeah.
this as much, and I know there's some people that I like and respect, and are real Star Wars fans, and they genuinely like Andor. I've met some people like that, and I'm not knocking them. I understand that. Personally, I like mature storytelling. I like, there's certain aspects of the production that I do like about it more than some of the other Disney Plus productions. But at the same time, I don't know. Like I'm so tired. There's so little stakes here. Why do I need all this information? I already had Rogue One, which was kind of not necessary. But let's just say, fine, whatever. You did Rogue One. Why do I need a prequel to that?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. A prequel, frankly, with a fairly uninteresting character.
right. I mean, there's nothing really here holding my interest. I already know what happens to him. I don't care about these people very much. And yeah, I don't think anything has changed. And I'm really tired that they're like, what about like all the Mandalorian is between Return of the Jedi and the sequel trilogy. This is between the prequels and A New Hope. Why don't they keep trying to shove all this stuff between these things? Obi-Wan Kenobi, that one is also between the prequels and the sequels,
Yeah.
the prequels and the whatever, and the original trilogy. Sorry, all these things that they're just trying to shove in there. And in some cases, they're just shoving in like weird propaganda. In some cases, it's just boring crap. Haven't been able to deliver anything. The only time they moved forward past the movies like Return of the Jedi really was was like the sequel trilogy, that they had like a real time jump, and that was awful. And now they can't even move forward from that because they don't know what to do.
Yeah, the truth is that why do they keep creating prequels? Why do they keep creating sequels? Why can't they just tell their own stories? Well, it's because they can't.
They're not
They
capable.
don't have the skills. They don't have the ability to create their actual own stories. So all they can think of is, oh, here's the sandbox that we got. Here's all of these ideas that we already have. Hey, you remember that one story where that thing happened? What if we learned how they got there for that thing to happen? Right. That's all they've got. They don't have any of the skills, any of the mindset to actually be able to say, let's tell a whole new story, a whole different story, make up our own characters, make up our own story, our own setting. They don't have that ability. These
They're
people
not good enough. They
no.
don't. It's funny though that a company with this kind of money couldn't find a few ambitious sci-fi writers and visionaries to do something with this franchise. Maybe some of the stuff they do you would like, some of it you wouldn't like, but they didn't even try. They just hired a bunch of like activists and they're just like, let's do all this kind of weird propaganda stuff. And yeah, I mean, you see this past weekend, you had Revenge of the Sith doing pretty well in the theater for its 20-year anniversary.
It
Probably
sure
one of the
is.
most successful re-releases of all time. And the truth is, I know some people are like, "Oh, are you sure Star Wars is dead? Look at this." Yes, I'm sure. In its current form, it is dead. The fact that there's still some people that, for some nostalgia, will go to the theater and watch that for that experience, that's fine, and I'm not hating on anybody that did that. But I actually tweeted that I thought it was kind of pathetic that, and also pathetic for Disney. I mean, they do all this stuff, nothing they do anybody gives a shit about, and at the end, like, they release that, and that's like the only thing that has some buzz. One thing I'll say, you actually saw people going to the theater wearing costumes. You saw people like bringing lightsabers and battling each other, like, in the hallways of the theater. That's something that people go because it's an event and it's fun. And Disney has lost the plot on that. They're not capable of delivering that. They suck so badly. Kathleen Kennedy is a complete disaster. There was a part of me that enjoyed seeing this movie kind of humiliate her. But even then, the press isn't going to call it for what it is. Nobody's going to learn any lessons. Nobody's going to admit anything. They're just going to continue to produce the same crap over and over again. They probably are thinking to themselves, well, they liked Hayden Christensen in this movie. Well, we got
yeah.
Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've rolled him out. Sorry, go on.
No, that's literally the plan for Ahsoka season 2.
It's always their plan. They're like, you like Hayden Christensen? Look, like, we signed him here. Yeah, I saw Ahsoka season 1. You know what? He brought a lot of it, like, enthusiasm when you see him on screen. They didn't really know what to do with him. He's just kind of there, and he doesn't even know what he's doing there. Did I like seeing him? Sure, but that couldn't save that show, and it's not going to save this thing either. I mean, keep in mind, there's also like a limitation as to what you could do with him. At that point in the first season, they brought him back as some kind of vision that she sees in her dream or something, and that's really all they could do with him. For Darth Vader, you don't really need Hayden Christensen because he's Darth Vader, so you don't really need him. And when it comes to flashbacks, okay, you could do some flashbacks.
Sure.
There's only so much you could do with flashbacks, I think.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. It's frustrating. Well, there's only so much that you can do with having a prequel. That they're in love with these prequels. The prequel tends to destroy a lot of the opportunity that you have there to actually build any drama, to build any actual, stakes for your story. Because guess what? We always knew exactly what was going to happen with Obi-Wan and Anakin. We know who was going to win the fight. We knew who was going to survive. We knew who wasn't. The same is happening when we're watching Andor. Every time I see it, was like, oh, Andor, he's in a tight spot. Is he going to get out? Well, yes, he is, because we know he survives and he lives until he dies in Rogue One, right? So there's so much of the opportunity that they have there for actual tension that is just gone. In the end, really, when you're thinking about drama, when you're thinking about you build tension, the central thing is always survival. And well, guess what? We can't use that as a tension. Oh, is he gonna get caught? Is he gonna go to prison? It doesn't matter. He gets out. He survives. He helps the rebellion steal the plans in Rogue One, right? So, and then if you're going to build that tension with other characters, we have to actually care whether they survive or not. And there's a lot of the characters I could care less about. Bix is a the actress is a lovely woman.
Yeah, no, I like her. She's fine. There's nothing.
I don't really give a damn whether that character lives or dies. I really don't. There's no reason for me to care other than, well, apparently she's a victim, and so I'm supposed to care about her. because she's been victimized as a woman. So I'm really supposed to care a lot about whether she survives or lives or dies or gets high or doesn't or whatever it is that she's doing. I don't. And the other characters too, like, in the first episode, it's like, oh no, his friend Brasso or whatever. Oh, he's dead. Moving on. Okay.
Yeah. What was I going to say? So, just a quick comment. I saw on the YouTube side there have been some people. There's a lot of people I like in this chat. I just want to say that I'm sorry I didn't really notice because we were talking about Andor, but I think that Joshua Calkins, he's a guy that's been watching these streams for a long time, and I also like Adam Gray, who's a moderator here. I don't exactly know what happened. I got a few DMs now, and I'm trying to scroll back and look. Not really sure what's going on, but I feel like there's been some kind of miscommunication here because I've always known all these people to be really nice people, so I don't know what people all kind of argue about, but I would hope if we can all be friends, it would be cool because I like hanging out with all of you. So if there's a way to bridge the gap or whatever it is, just throwing that out there. I will gladly talk to anybody about anything after the stream if you feel like it. But I honestly feel like there was some kind of misunderstanding here, and I want this to be like a fun place that people hang out. I don't really know what happened and what escalated to what, but just throwing that out there. We're all hanging out here, we're all friends, and trying to throw some good vibes around. Also, shout out to Tim Hayes that brought this to my attention. Tim Hayes, also a good guy, and I also like seeing him here. So, just putting all of that out there. Where were we?
Yeah.
Professor?
Yeah, I'm here.
What were we talking about?
Andor.
Andor. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't really know what the drama was. I didn't. It's a late hour, and there's so many messages coming from different platforms that I think I haven't noticed what's going on. But we're all friends. That's what I can. Let's do like a kumbaya and all get along. That's all. That's the advice I can give here without knowing any details whatsoever. Kumbaya. That's
Yeah.
kumbaya.
Yeah.
I understand.
I want people to get along in the chat as well. And on the same note, I have to say that Adam and Racerhead are mods in the chat, and I do have to ask you to respect that. So if somebody's somebody's talking shit, somebody's acting up, we trust Adam and Eraserhead to handle that.
I didn't say that I didn't trust them.
No, I know what you were saying. I'm kind of carrying on what you were saying. We would prefer everybody gets along, and that would be my preference as well. But if someone's going to be causing trouble, someone's going to be acting up, we're trusting Adam and Eraserhead to help keep things civil in the chat. So I don't know.
I don't
exactly
know the details.
What the deal
That's
is.
why
Yeah.
I feel like I missed some of this here. That's why I gave like a general umbrella things. Obviously, Adam Gray and Eraserhead do a great job as moderators here. I'm just saying that like I know that Joshua Calkins has been watching streams for a long time. He's generally a nice guy. So sometimes you have a situation where, especially when people are writing messages and DMs, not DMs, messages, and they're kind of flying by quickly. Something can happen that gets lost in translation. I've had situations that I've written something to somebody maybe in a DM, and I think maybe they interpreted it one way, and it was actually different than what I meant. Those kind of things happen. I'm speculating. I have no idea. But like I said, I'm happy to talk to anybody. I feel like there's a lot of good people here, and maybe there's a way to find like a good path forward. That's not to take away from the great job that the mods do here, obviously. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. I think the chat's got it covered, and so yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Where were?
Yeah. I think wrapping up our discussion of that, because we both only got to see that first episode of Andor this evening of the second drop of 3 episodes. And I did find it kind of interesting, but uh, again, I'm more interested in what's happening with this story than what was happening in the first 3 episodes. That doesn't mean it was great. It did drag on. It was rather slow. Uh, there's a lot of like interpersonal drama stuff going on with Bix and Andor, and now I'm kind of ready for it to move on and start telling a little bit different story, right? But overall, I am looking forward to watching the next couple of episodes. Like I said, the first season was really a lot similar to this. We had a lot of really dull, slow stuff going on right there at the beginning, and then it really did pick up and tell something very interesting. That a story that moved a lot better later on in the season. Is that what we would prefer? No, I would prefer the whole season was interesting. I would prefer that the whole season was more worthwhile than having to slog through 6 out of 12 episodes before the show actually got interesting. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
we'll see what happens over
We'll
the
see
next
what
few episodes.
happens. In any case, I think that we've gone over as much as we could with it, and really,
Yep.
we didn't have a lot to say because there's really not too much to even report.
Nope.
I only saw the first episode out of the 3, though, so maybe it does get super interesting in the 6th one, like
Yep.
Chris Gore said, but I just don't know. And I guess there's been some news today, a bunch of stuff with gamings. First of all, there was, even after I set up this thumbnail, was there other stuff going on. So one, did you see that Borderlands 4 was delayed?
It wasn't delayed. It got
Wasn't
a
delayed?
it got a reverse delay.
What do you
Is
mean?
what some people were joking about. That initially they were talking about it, saying, "Oh, the team has been working hard to get this game out and and whatnot," and then announced that in fact it is coming out 11 days earlier, and so it's going to be out the second week of September. So yeah, or it was the third week of September, September 12th, September 12th. So they actually moved the release date up a little bit, and they're going to have tomorrow on the PlayStation channels, PlayStation YouTube channels and whatnot, their live streams. They're going to have a state of play specifically talking about Borderlands 4. So I'm actually really looking forward to this. These are kind of a guilty pleasure game for me. These looter shooters. I'm not a huge fan of first person shooters. Most of the time they leave me a little cold. Not really my favorite genre, but the Borderlands games, the humor of them, and just the gameplay mechanics. It's definitely a guilty pleasure kind of game. Not the best games out there. The second Borderlands game, Borderlands 2, it is fantastic. It's a great game, great story, great gameplay, super fun. Even had some great, really mature, well made DLC to go with it. But the third game was not as great. But I'm looking forward to checking out to the fourth one. So yeah, it got a reverse delay. That was what many people were joking about.
That's kind of silly,
Yep.
but okay. There's that, and there was also layoffs at EA. Did you see that?
Yes, that was a big deal. The specifically, a lot of the layoffs that were discussed were at Respawn. So, do you know what Respawn has been responsible for? Price?
Uh, it's a Titanfall game or something.
The
Is
Yeah,
that?
Titanfall is one of their properties. There's also been some. There's been some cutbacks to Apex Legends. There's been another one, and then Respawn is also responsible for the Star Wars Jedi games, Jedi Survivor, Jedi Fallen Order, and so they were looking at potentially, I think, some other another Star Wars game that would not necessarily be part of the Jedi series. But here I can actually share the announcement from Respawn today. Let me bring that up. Oh, and we're on 2 hours 4 price. Get ready for the inevitable.
Oh yeah, we're about to be kicked out.
inevitably being kicked at some point. Let me.
I'm surprised it hasn't happened already.
Yeah, it's usually around 2 hours 5 for some reason. I don't know why. Let's see. Here's the. Nope. Is it letting me share?
What is it?
Oh no, it's not letting me share my screen.
Oh, now you're gonna get kicked out.
Yeah, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna reset on my own here. Be right back.
Okay. Let me see if can I share something?
All right. Now if you get kicked, we won't both go out at the same time. Here we go. Oh.
Did mine share? Can you share too?
Yeah, I can share. My share went up, so you can.
Okay, here you go. After that, I have a share to lift the mood here.
Oh, okay, great. I hope it's puppies. At at Respawn, it says bold ideas, creative risk, passion, storytelling have always defined who we are. Spirit has carried us through incredible highs and sometimes through difficult challenges. So they go on to talk about adjustments that are going to be happening to the teams with Apex Legends and Star Wars Jedi. This does mean that also there's going to be 2 projects that they had in the incubation stages. I know one of those was another Star Wars game. I believe it was going to be sort of a real-time strategy game. So potentially that has been dropped, but they didn't say exactly what those 2 projects that were in the early incubation stages were. They got dumped, but they didn't mention that Star Wars strategy game. So that might be the one that disappears. They're talking about commitment to player first experiences. They're talking about for Apex Legends, which I don't care about that game, but they want to be able to continue to work on it and expand it, but they're going to be cutting back on that team. Within the Star Wars universe, it says we are excited to keep building new stories with the next chapter of Star Wars Jedi, aiming to raise the bar. So they are going to be moving forward with that 3rd chapter of Star Wars Jedi. I'm not surprised. Both of those games have been really solid. There's I think they would be losing a lot if they were to drop that game. So I'm glad they're going to be continuing on with the Star Wars Jedi, and then we'll see what else happens. It does mean there was a not a main line Titanfall game that was dropped, but one of the games that was dropped was a Titanfall spin-off game that they had planned. So it doesn't say anything about any mainline games for Titanfall, but I'm guessing that will continue. Those have also done pretty well for Respawn. But yeah, the Star Wars Jedi game, I'm glad to see that they're even though they have cut a bunch of staff from that. I believe that they had somewhere like 200 that got cut overall, or was it? No, it was around 100. It's around 100 overall from Respawn that were leaving. So they did have to cut back on that team a little bit. Probably means that their delivery window for that next Star Wars Jedi game is going to be stretched out a little bit longer. But who knows, right? They may cut back on content or something to be able to deliver it on time. But
it's the Phobos. I have no idea what you're talking about. I sincerely hope this isn't true, because there are much better things you could be doing that to than the Night Owl. Although, a viewer is a viewer, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean,
we accept all kinds around here. And so this is something that I wanted to do to try to lift the mood. This is apparently a video about cats.
To put the finishing touches on this match. Oh my God! He's knocked down. On the move. Ali rolling. RKO. Rollins with a stop to Lesnar. Roman Reigns. Oh, RKO by Orton. Watch it again. And a victory at RKO. And Rose RKO. On the outside. Top boots up. Where the hell is... Oh, there it is. Unbelievable resurrection for The Undertaker. What's doing? I can see one flaw in Carlito's. Oh, RKO! Oh, my! Oh! Oh, oh my God! No!
Oh God.
I don't know
That's
why that
great.
video made me chuckle. It was a good palate
What was that?
cleanser.
Punch Cat was the was the account. That's great.
Yeah, I like. You can find a user for anything, I guess.
Oh yeah, there's anything out there, but yeah. Oh geez, yeah. I've seen it. Not that video. I've seen a similar video to that before, where they're adding in all the wrestling sound effects, like them smacking into the mat and stuff. It's great.
Yeah, I like that stuff. I like it.
That's funny. We have a super chat over on YouTube.
Okay, let me go find it. 1 second. And again, if you're on Rumble, you should sign up and follow us. And if you're on anywhere else, you should like and subscribe or whatever it is that you do. And is this sharing it or I didn't?
And there he goes. Well, welcome to the Night Owl with Professor R2. And oh, dang it, he came back. Oh, well. Yeah. Went to share, and that's when the crash happened. Yeah.
Okay, so we have, let's do this to make sure I got everything. We got the dead man. Kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya. Then Jason shows up to slash everyone. Did that happen in one of those movies? I don't remember.
Oh yeah, and then actually he corrects the.
Well, if it was in the first one, it would be Jason's mom.
Yeah,
and that's possible. I do remember them sitting around a campfire. I just didn't remember if they sang "Kumbaya," but you know what? It's popular. It's possible that they did.
Could be.
I haven't seen that first one in many years. Yeah, you know, in many ways, that first Friday the 13th, it's kind of the best one. I know it's not the one with Jason, but it's the one that, like, or only at the end or whatever you want to call it. But I think that that first one, I don't know why I kind of like it the most out of all of them. Maybe I liked, the third one. I like the second and third one okay, but really once they start with like 4, 5, 6, 7, I mean, I've watched every single one of those movies and I've enjoyed them for whatever they were, but there was a bit of diminishing return there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know.
I'm not a huge fan of the 80s slasher flicks, although I can definitely enjoy them on the the humor level, right? They're just so over the top.
I mean, first of all, Nightmare on Elm Street is cool. I mean, I think that there's some humor in that.
Oh yeah,
and I like those movies. I like Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Probably a little more than Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th, I like them, especially the earlier ones, but I do feel like at some point they don't really know what to do with them. It's just like,
yeah.
The later ones are kind of a blur to me. I don't even remember. I just, there's one that he goes to New York and they filmed it in Toronto or something, or Vancouver or something. It looks like Vancouver. It doesn't look like he's in New York at all.
Yeah.
today at least they have like computer animate, like VFX, things like that they could somehow make it seem more like he's in New York, even though he's in Canada. But in those days, they didn't have it. It just doesn't look like he's in New York. Maybe they had a few shots that they filmed in New York, but for the most part, it feels like not New Yorkish at all.
Yeah, and all the hookers were saying "a" on the street. It really didn't work.
They were all like, "Sorry, do you have $200?"
Sorry.
By the way,
yeah.
you know what? Michael J. Fox, he was a star here in the U.S. You know, Family Ties and Back to the Future. But there's one thing that I'll say, that he could never overcome the sorry thing. Like, he speaks like 100% like he's American, but if you ever told him to say sorry, it always comes out as sorry.
Sorry.
She felt. I wonder in Back to the Future, when he talks about George McFly and how she felt sorry for him, does he say sorry or sorry?
I don't know.
This is a very important question. How do I find this out? What's the scene in Back to the Future? What am I looking for? Back to the Future. Marty and Lorraine in school. Let's see if I can find that. I have to see what he says if he says sorry. Okay. It's not this. I have to find. This is really going to bother me. How do we figure this out?
Well, we could sit down and just watch the movie, and we can.
Okay, hold on. I think I got it. Are you with me?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm with you,
I'm
eh?
going to do it now. Hey. I want to see if he says sorry or not. This is such a strange thing, but I have to see if he says sorry.
That's him. Okay, you guys. Very funny. You guys are being real mature.
Maybe we were adopted.
Okay, real mature, guys. Okay, Nick, can you pick up my phone? Why? That's Strickland. Jesus, didn't that guy ever have hair?
Hey, Buck, man. You're a slacker. Do you want to be a slacker for the rest of your life?
No.
What did your mother ever see in that kid?
No, Doc. I don't know. I guess you felt sorry for him because her dad hit him with the car.
Did you hear it?
Yep, there's a little bit of a sorry in there.
He
Yep.
said she felt sorry for him because he couldn't get the sorry right. He did everything great. This is like a 10 out of 10 performance. But if I was like one of those nitpicky judges at the Olympic, I'd have to tell Michael J. Fox that his Canadian sorry slipped in this one place. I want to make sure. I want to make sure you heard it.
What did your mother ever see in that kid?
No, Doc. I don't know. I guess you felt sorry for him because her dad hit him with the car.
Professor, what have you got to say for yourself?
I've never noticed that before. I'm shocked. I'm embarrassed that I've never noticed that before, and I also feel deeply saddened by everything that's happened to Canada over the last couple of days. I mean, there's an awful lot that's happened to Canada.
Right?
in the
Didn't
last
they elect some
few years, but yeah,
weirdo?
now they went back. They elected the Liberal Party again to run everything. So
I don't
yeah.
get that place. I don't understand the people in Canada. I sometimes these places they remind me of California, that they keep like electing all these weirdos. I really think that it would have been better for them to vote something else after all these years with Trudeau. Maybe they like him. What do I know?
Well, there are a lot of the politicos are blaming a bunch of the all of the tariff talk and all of the 51st state talk and whatever that potentially that resulted in a whole lot of nationalist sentiment and they didn't want to vote in the group that was, you know, a little more friendly with Trump. They wanted to vote for the more liberal party. I also understand, I'm not deeply into the politics over there in, up there in Canada, but I understand they basically have two different liberal parties, and so there's a lot of people that vote for these more liberal parties, and so it's actually much more difficult for conservatives to win in a lot of different areas of the country. And there's some, some of the areas, obviously, because they're national elections, a lot like happens here in the U.S. There's some of different areas of Canada that don't share those those same sentiments, right? And so they're quite upset now that the conservatives were not able to win control of the government. So I think I'm trying to look at an article here. Well, here we'll just share it. We can all look at it together here. Maybe. There we go. Yep. So, the Carney, the new guy who's in charge, they're saying Trump is never going to break us. So, Canada's Mark Carney and the Liberal Party have claimed a remarkable election victory. That's true. I mean, honestly, this was probably the best opportunity Conservatives had to win there, and it did not go well for them. Liberals are projected to win more of Parliament, 343 seats, than Conservatives. With a projected total of 169 would not be an outright majority, which would require at least 172 seats. So it looks like they're probably going to have to form like a minority government, kind of happens in other countries, where in order to get enough seats to have control, you have to sort of squish different parties together and make make concessions to those other groups for how you're gonna build up that government, how it's going to be run. But again, I don't know a whole lot about Canadian politics and everything. But it says this was Carney speaking. It says, "We are over the shock of the American betrayal, but we should never forget the lessons." Referring to America's president's threats to the economy, its sovereignty, suggesting it would become the 51st state. Again, hilarious that people actually think that he's being serious. It's when he makes jokes like this. He probably thinks they would be better off as the 51st state, right? But as to actually like forcing them in some way to join the US, it's kind of ridiculous, right? So I don't know. What do you think, Bryce?
I don't know. I don't think that he's serious about the 51st state thing, and I don't think that's a realistic thing. I think he was just trying to push Justin Trudeau's buttons, which he probably did. I don't really know why they voted again this way. It's like I said, some countries are like this. Some states are like it, like California. Gavin Newsom could do the craziest thing, and they'll still somehow vote for him again. Sometimes I don't really know. I don't know why people behave a certain way. And I think that in Canada, maybe a lot of the more kind of liberal party or whatever, they kind of capitalized on this whole situation with Trump. But I don't know. I don't know if it's going to do them any good. I don't think Justin Trudeau was so good for them, so it's surprising that they would go in this direction again. Did my Rumble rant question about why we apologize to Sean go through? Asks Elizabeth Quince. I didn't see it, but you know what? Let me try to open it. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to press this. You know why? Because I think we were kicked out. So let me see if I can find it somehow. Oh, it's so annoying. Let me see. It doesn't appear for me. Did you get a chance to see it, Professor?
I do not see it in my chat log here. So
Let
Yeah,
me
it
see.
doesn't look like it went through. Not
I
as a
don't think it
report
went
we're at.
through, but let me see if I
Um,
can find something else. If I can find, I don't know where I find it. Let me see for a second. Live streaming, maybe it's here. Nope. Account options. Chat.
tech support on the Night Owl.
We're like the worst tech support ever. I wish I knew how to find it. I can't find it. Why don't you write what you want now, and I will.
Well, I think Elizabeth Quitz was just asking about, wondering about why we apologize to Sean.
I would have liked to have highlighted her
Yeah,
chat, but
sure.
I can't do that, I guess, at this moment. But we'll do whatever we can. Let's see. I did look here. I don't know where to find them.
Yeah, I don't think it actually came through as a rant because it's not. I don't see it anywhere in the Rumble chat log. So
All right. Well, I guess so this was Elizabeth Quince asking. So we'll answer your question. Sean is a guy that's here, and I mean he hangs out with us, but in more recent time he works very late shifts, so he hasn't been here for a while. This is actually a more complicated story. What happened is that back in the day, there was a guy here on the stream called Dred Roberts, who's a friend of mine, and Dred ended up moving with his family. There was a lot of stuff going on in his personal life, good stuff, but he was very, very dedicated to spending time with his family and kind of minimized his presence online. He is kind of more, he's has a man of faith. I don't know exactly what to
yeah,
say,
yeah,
and and basically, I always felt bad because I know he doesn't use bad language. So anytime I was gonna say something bad, I'd say like, "Oh, close your ears, Dread," and then like he'd close his ears and I'd say bad things, or I'd suddenly a bad word would slip and I'd say, "Sorry, Dread," and somehow he left. Like I said at the time, because he needed to spend time with his family, which he's still doing. And Sean, would come in from time to time, and somehow Sean inherited, because he's also a pretty wholesome guy, not as wholesome as Dredd, but he still has a more like wholesome edge, like a wholesome vibe. So when I would say bad words or bad things, I somehow transferred it to Sean, that I would apologize to him. And now Sean is so busy with his like late night shifts that we only see him like really on rare
yeah.
occasions. But even when he's not here, we apologize to him.
Yeah.
And we say
If
sorry.
I remember, for a little while it went back and forth. We were just apologizing to each other. We'd apologize to Price. Price would apologize to me. Sean would apologize to me. Then we'd apologize to Sean, and it just sort of kept going around. But as Sean has sort of become more of this mythical figure because he's not here very often, it makes way more sense. It's way funnier to apologize to Sean because he's not here to
He's not here. He's
actually be
working a shift somewhere. He doesn't even know
apologized
what's
to.
going on.
So
Yeah,
it kind of evolved into that in joke over time because he's not here. So it's really funny to apologize to him
totally.
when he's not even on the stream.
Yeah, it is funny, and we do that. So Sean is now the person that we
Yeah.
apologize to all the time.
And we
But
miss
yeah,
Sean. I love having Sean here. I wish we got to see a little bit
I
more
do.
of him.
Like, it's such a treat when he arrives. He just he brings like an additional cool vibe to the table, and it's just nice having him here. So hopefully we'll see him. He pops in once in a while, like mysteriously he'll show up. I like the fact that even if somebody is busy from time to time, we still see him. The same with Vex Electronica. I always say this: Vex was the first guest of the Night Owl. I basically was still toying with the idea of doing this kind of late night stream, and I asked her to join me. And for the first stream, it was just me talking to myself for an hour, and the second and third stream, it was me and Vex talking about crazy things for a few hours. Talk about meandering. Those were streams that were like full on meander. They had, I feel like there was no structure whatsoever there, and it was fun though, and I'll always appreciate. you appreciate that kind of thing. You want to put something together, and it's always tough to find the right people and to kind of launch it. And I do appreciate that Vex was there. I always kind of give her props for helping me at that time. And I also appreciate Dredd. I know that he moved with his family, had a lot of stuff going on, and I appreciate that as well. But always, I always appreciate people, and I still like these guys. And I talk to both of them even when we're not streaming. So that was some lore. That was some lore.
Yes, yes.
That hopefully I helped whoever needed some lore. Jeanette said Sean is great. His deadpan delivery is fantastic. Yes, I think that he's a good kind of. He adds something between myself and Professor. He brings a vibe that's completely different,
Yeah,
and I mean it in a good way.
Yeah, yeah. Especially the sort of not actually paying attention to anything that's going on vibe. Like,
Right. Usually, like we're like in it.
Wait,
We know
what's
all
happening?
the things. It's like the first time he's heard of it. No matter what we're saying, like it's the first time he's heard of it, and he has like just this interesting reactions to what we're talking about. It's just fun.
Yep.
And
We've got some. I think got not a Rumble rant, a super chat over on
Okay.
YouTube.
Yes, so let me share that one. Okay, so the dead man, I'm not your buddy guy. That's Terrence and Phillip.
And that's your buddy guy.
Hey, huh? What else did they say? I'm not your friend, pal.
Not your friend,
Something
pal.
I'm not your buddy guy. I love Terrence and Phillip. I thought they were hysterical. I know it may not be for everybody, but I like it. And yeah, so that was some lore that we gave here.
Yes.
And
the deep
I thought of something interesting today. I don't know why I thought of it. Maybe before because we were talking. I had a really great experience. This has nothing to do with anything. I just thought of it before. You know how we were talking about Japan?
Mm-hmm.
And I said I was in Laos? One of the places that I was the most popular ever, the closest I've ever reached to fame, you know where that was?
Oh. Where?
In Vieng Vieng, which is like a village in Laos. I was the toast of the town.
Oh, my.
Did you know that? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Somebody is saying that we are a rainbow stream. Thanks, Drain member. I don't know how you got to that conclusion. I don't know if it's something that I said that gave you that impression, but don't really know what to tell you. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. What would you have us do that would give a different impression on this stream, Mr. Drain member? I'm all ears. I want to hear why don't you pitch us some ideas and tell us how we could take the stream in a different direction? Well, we have Istophobos with a Rumble rant, and that's I can do Rumble rants. Hey, Adam, remember that time that dude couldn't get over that other time when he thought you were being mean, so he was mean? Good times. Well, I will say, I will say this before my story of Yang Vieng of how I was popular in Asia. It was big in Japan.
It was big in Japan. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Before I go there, I just want to tell you something. In our day and age, in the world of technology and a lot of kind of DMs and when it comes to messages and chats, people can get like the wrong impression or understand things in the wrong way. And I myself can tell you that there's a YouTuber out there, a rather well-known YouTuber, even a pretty big YouTuber out there that I'm acquainted with. And once, a really long time ago, this was a number of years ago, there was something that happened and that I got annoyed with. And I sent this person a DM. The DM was a bit critical, but somehow the way I worded it, even though I didn't intend for it to be the way it came out as more than critical, but rather offensive. And I got a pushback from this person, and there was a little bit of like a rift and tension. And really, I think that if it was a situation that I would have talked to the guy in person and not gone back in some stupid DM, I think that it would never have even got to that. I think it would have been a much more kind of, you know, manly conversation between two men, just ironing a few things out. Somehow between the DMs and the different things, it came out the wrong way. And at the end, I actually went back and I looked at the things and I looked at what I wrote, and I didn't do it immediately. It took me some time, but at the end I said to myself, you know what? I don't feel good about what happened, and I don't feel good how I, handled it. And I reached out and I apologized to the person. And that happens sometimes. So all I'm saying is, in our crazy world, whatever we do, we interact with people. We're all writing things, we're sending things, there's gifs and emojis and whatever it is. Sometimes people get the wrong idea. I don't know, to tell you that I know exactly every case and every for people that bickered or whatever, what it's about. I don't know, but I like to, I like to try to find solutions and resolutions. I'm sure that there's sometimes people that maybe they misbehave or they say something bad. I think there's sometimes misunderstandings. If there's a way to bring people together and resolve them, I'm always for that. I understand that doesn't always work that way, but I'm a dreamer. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm naive. It's nice to try to bring people together. That's all I was saying. That's my 2 cents. And again, once again, not to take away from the great job that both Eraserhead and Adam Gray do as mods.
Agreed.
But I
Yep.
also, I like I said, I myself made that mistake. I made a mistake. I admit it. And sometimes a person can do something wrong or do something, or maybe people just don't understand each other. It can happen. Is this
Okay.
another one?
It's supposed. Hey, Adam.
Hey, Adam, remember that time? I reminded you of that time. You remember that time that dude couldn't get over that other time when he thought you were mean, so he was mean and he was gone. Again, and I'd like to say that I think I know what you're talking about, Istophobos, and I feel like there's been a misunderstanding here, because I know a lot of people here in this chat. I know most of you, and there's a lot of great people here, and that's all I'll say. That when I see good people, for whatever reasons, getting into some kind of back and forth about something, I always hope that it's not a misunderstanding, like a situation I was in. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Well, and this is also Istophobos is also carrying on a joke from the B-side stream, and that is rolled over into Mr.
I see.
Brown's
I
stream.
didn't have the full context, I guess.
Where it's it's this nonstop stream of, hey, remember that time.
I see.
When you just remember the time of remembering the time when we remembered that time when that thing happened. It just keeps going, and so he's also playing off of that. It's basically it's some sort of recursive version of the sketch that they used to do on Saturday Night Live with oh gosh, now the total brain fart here with Chris Farley. That's what. Yeah, Chris Farley, where he would talk to the people on the who would come on to Saturday Night Live, and it was like the Chris Farley show, and he was just do you remember that time when you were in that movie? That was awesome. Like he would do that. He would do that thing, and so it's playing off of that. But yeah, it's evolved into a whole thing over on the B-sides streams.
I see.
Going spanning weeks and weeks.
I got you now. I apologize. Sorry, I didn't know the reference. Adam Gray, we're all
No,
just
it's
people.
fine.
Text is problematic. Absolutely. I know people are good here, and that's why I have a more, positive outlook. I still hope that there's a way to clear things up. I see that the Dead Man, he gave another super chat for $2. Thank you so much, the Dead Man, for everything you've done tonight. What's the problem? If you have that audio thing, you can. That's another bit of
It's
lore.
such a quiet clip. It's hard to get it loud enough.
What's the problem?
I think there's another one from Mr. Phobos. Hey, Price, remember that time R2 reminded you of a lame joke from Adam's channel bleed over into Brown's channel, and it's stupid but hard to stop doing? I'm starting to remember, yes.
Yes, I think we remember that one.
By the way,
Oh,
did I
it's
ever
late,
tell
Bryce.
you?
I'm getting the giggles, man.
Did I ever tell you? I don't know why I thought of this now. This is completely now we're at the phase of like complete meandering. Did I
Yep.
ever tell you about the time? I don't know if I've told anybody this. There was a YouTuber. Uh, it's a woman. I don't know if people know who she is or not. She's not the biggest YouTuber, but she has been around for a while. I haven't spoken to her in many years, but she basically. Did I ever tell you this? This is the wildest thing.
No,
It's
I don't
wild
think
for me.
so.
I don't know. You guys can listen and tell me if this is a wild story or not. Are you with me,
Go
R2?
for it.
Okay. So this lady who sort of I befriended, through how we hang out in our places. We're all in the kind of the same circles. She's somebody that I don't really see often these days. I don't know if she was in your circles. I don't think so. And really, I haven't seen her in a very long time. But bottom line is, we were friendly with each other, and one day she says to me, I'm starting a group. I'm starting a group with all these cool YouTubers. I want to introduce you to a lot of people that I know. This is going to be a super cool group. I already maybe she already had it and she already put it together. I want you to join it. I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. I mean, I was just really starting doing YouTube stuff. Really, really at the this was a number of years ago. I was just kind of very early on in YouTubing, and I said, okay, I'll join your group. So she adds me to the group, introduces me. This is a group with maybe like 50 people. Okay,
Sure.
so I'm there in this group, and this is a group that is like the craziest shit is being said there 24/7 messages. I probably muted it within like a few hours of me being in this group. I mute, you know how you do mute forever?
Oh yeah.
I like muted it forever because it was just so busy with a bunch of crap and crazy comments and crazy gifs and all this stuff. And I'm just like, whatever, once in a while, maybe I'd pop in to see what they were talking about. And most of the time, I probably didn't even do that. So I'm in this group. I don't even know what this group is, like, what they're talking about. And within a few days, I suddenly, maybe like 3, 4, 5 days later, I look at this group, and when I look at it, it's how when people leave group, it says this guy left the group, this guy left the group, this guy left the group. Do you know that?
Yep.
So I see that there's like tons of people, one after the other, left the group, left the group. This person left the group. I'm saying like almost everybody. Everybody left the group except for 3 people. Out of 50 people, 3 people are left in the group. It's me, a guy who has like instead of a name has like eggplant emojis. And there was one guy called Hugh Jass, like Hugh Grant, but like the last name is like Jass, Jass. So
Yes.
it comes out that it's like huge ass.
Yes.
So
That's
I'm
an
in the
old
group,
Simpsons joke.
right? So I like the old Simpson joke. So I'm in a group with Hugh Jass and the eggplant
An eggplant
emoji
emoji.
man.
Yep.
I'm stuck with these people, and I'm thinking to myself, what is this? So I write to the lady who introduced me to these people and added me to the group, and I say, hey, something weird happened in the group. I'm stuck there. Like there's the eggplant guy and huge ass. So she tells me, listen, I've taken apart the group. There's no longer any group. It's done. I said, why? What happened? She said, well, there was like somebody leaking information from this DM group, and I can't have people leaking information from this group. I said, okay, I understand. I said, is there a different group you're putting together, a different group you have? She said, no, that's it for now. No more groups. I can't have any groups. I said, okay, what do you think happens next?
You get invited to another group.
No, one of the
No?
people that was in the group out of the 50 that actually knew me, he sends me a DM and he's like, hey, why aren't you in the new group that this lady put together? And
Yeah.
I'm like, excuse me? She put together a new group, and out of the 50 people, 47 people are in the new group. 47, they're all in there, except for me, the eggplant emoji person, and huge ass. So I went back to this lady and I tell her, listen, what'd you do? Like, what do you mean? Why'd you kick me out? And then like you started a new group and then they all left. What have you done? So she said, like, instead of apologizing, she says to me, who told you that I put together another group? I'm like, that's really not the issue here. The issue is that you lied to me. Plus, like, why wouldn't you carry me over to the other group? Like, what have I done wrong? So she says, well, I needed to be, I can't, if I don't trust you 100%, then I can't put you in my group. How do I know you're not the leak?
How do you know I am the leak?
And I'm like thinking to myself, if you saw that stupid group and what they talked about, trust me, there's other things for anybody to be doing their time to like sit around and watch a bunch of stupid gifs and stupid comments from people. Who would I even leak it to? Where would I post it? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I was the spy, you know what I mean? Or she wasn't sure that it was like me, huge ass, or the eggplant emoji guy. Those were her three suspects. And until today, I'm offended. It offends me until today that she thought that I was the leak.
Yeah, that's yeah. It's,
But
it's-
it is
Jeanette
what it is.
says, "Wow, Price literally got into a Discord drama." Yeah,
It's
that
all true
sounds like
though, and the thing is that I wasn't the leak. Okay, I don't know. She must have still had the leaker there. And
yep.
when you start a group and you have like 50 people in it, to think you're going to keep a tight lid on something is probably a dumb idea. If there's something confidential that you don't want people to know, then don't share it with 50 people.
Yep.
But it is what it is.
What do they say? Two men may keep a secret where one is dead. That's
Yeah,
the old saying. So
I'm
yeah,
always very careful when somebody has a secret. I almost don't want to hear it because then, you have
yeah,
that responsibility. And then not only that, if that person that told you the secret tells it to somebody else, well, if somebody leaks that secret, they'll think that you leaked it. Anyhow,
yep.
there's more super chats. So we have
More
Mary White.
kumbaya in the chat. Yes.
Mary White, $2. Thank you, Mary. I really like Mary White. Everybody, love everybody. Come on, I agree. And the dead man says, "Be excellent to each other and party on, dude." That
Party on, dude.
Bill and Ted's Excellent
Yeah.
Adventure reference, and I agree with it 100%. And yeah, I don't know the whole. And NMM says the leaker was the guy named Benedict Arnaldo. But you know what? I'll just say this final thing. You know what annoyed me about that incident? I told her that she really embarrassed me because had she never even introduced me to all those people in that group, that would have been better than introducing me and after 5 days causing this whole ruckus and singling me out as a potential like quote unquote leaker of dumb stupid crap that like nobody wanted to know the stupid crap that anybody was saying in this. Have you ever been in like DM groups that people just say crap all the time and you don't even look at it?
Oh Lord, yes.
Like it insults me that she thought that I would actually take time to leak stuff there. Is to Phobos. Hey, Price, remember that time you were invited to a group and everyone in the group left and then you got kicked out of the group and then you didn't get invited to the new group and found out? Yes, I do remember that.
He remembers it. He remembers it very well.
Very well.
He still seethes about it to this very day.
The fact that she left me, like the people that she thought that I was like in league with was the eggplant emoji man and huge ass. That really hurts. That really hurts. Like, I don't know. It's really not nice. I think that from that day, I don't think I've ever communicated with her again. It was
Yes.
sad because she seemed so nice. So you never know about people.
Oh.
And back to how I was famous in Asia. I was big in Japan. I'll just tell this, and then we can start probably wrapping up.
Sure.
But I'll tell you this. So I was in Vieng Vieng in Laos. This was like a good amount of time ago. We're talking. It's possible that we're looking at like 20 years back or something. So this was at a time where like Laos only started being open for tourism. They weren't like, I don't know what it's like today, but it was it almost felt like a very innocent place. And it felt like this cool village. And there weren't a ton of tourists there. It was all kind of relatively new. I was a younger guy kind of doing some backpacking and things like that. I don't quite know how I ended up in Vieng Vieng in Laos, but man, that was a cool trip. And what happened is that I wanted to kind of befriend the locals. So I at one of these little kind of, it's not even a real store. It looks like kind of like a hut or something that they were selling stuff. They had a very little kind of dictionary where it's like English Lao. It basically helps you if you're in Laos. Like it teaches you how to say things like in Lao, phrases in English that may be helpful. This
Sure.
is not like when they didn't have like a bunch of internet stuff there. You didn't have smartphones there. Are you with me?
Yeah. Yep.
So I bought this little book. The only problem is I feel like the book came, I don't know from what era. It seemed like the book was written like 50 years earlier, and maybe it was like written by the British Army or something. I don't know who wrote it. It was like there was something almost surreal and humorous about the book unintentionally.
Hmm.
Because it had stuff that had nothing to do. It seemed like if you were in London and you needed to speak that language, it would be giving you sentences that would be relevant there, but not in this village. Think of this like really rural. I don't know what it's like today. I don't want to say primitive, but I'm saying like this is like a very rural location, okay? This is a very remote kind of at that moment in time kind of village. It's not a westerny type of developed place. It feels very not developed, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I take this. I wanted to befriend the locals, and it was a small place. Like I'd see the same people. I'd see them at the little shops that I like that I would eat food at or whatever it is. So I went to the marketplace. They had like a market where people are like chopping fish all the time. I don't know why they're chopping fish or what they're doing there. It was very stinky. There's like a lot of fishy things, and they're like chopping fish. So I took the dictionary with me, and I went there, and I decided to connect with the people. So I took the dictionary and I looked at sentences that I could tell them, but I somehow I made it funny. Meaning like I read a sentence in the book, and then there's this guy chopping fish, this old man. So like I stood next to him, and there's a few other people next to him. And then I said in Lao, I looked at the sentence in the thing, and I recited it. I said, gentlemen, I'd like you all to meet my daughter. And it was the old man cutting the fish. And then, like, they kind of chuckled. And then I just one by one, I started saying the dumbest things to them. Now, because the book wasn't like representative of what's going on there was like one sentence in the book that said, like, excuse me, take me to the opera at once. So there's like a guy like cutting some mackerels or doing whatever he's doing. This is like the fishiest market ever. And I just stand there and I said to him, like, excuse me, like, take me to the opera at once. And the guy like he loved it. You know what I mean? They were so happy. The more stupid crap I said to them, the more happy they were. And within maybe like, an hour in this market, all of these people in this market were my friend. But the best thing I ever did is that like the book told me what to say if your toilet bowl is stuck. Are you with me?
Okay.
So like, at the end there were already like people gathered around me, and they're all like waiting for me to say something, and they all look at me, and one of my final things, I look at them all and I said to them, my toilet bowl is stuck. And they were so happy. And then what happened was like I'd walk through the village, and people would like, all come up to me, and like there were a lot of people that came up to me and said, my toilet bowl is stuck. They were so happy. This was like they were genuinely laughing. They saw it as like a very funny gesture. They were so happy. That's all I can say. It was probably the only place I've ever been appreciated ever anywhere. The most like positive vibes I ever got were from like the people in the village of Yang Yang, and like they
You
would.
were a stand-up comedian, successful one at that.
I was a stand-up comedian, but the truth is that like I did put the thought into it. What I said was funny, meaning I didn't have a lot of like tools to my advantage, but whatever that book had and the stupid sentences and the way I applied the sentences to stupid situations genuinely got laughs out of them. Enough that, like I said, I would walk on the street, and because it was like a small village, people already knew who I was.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, do you hear my cat?
Indeed. Don't think I've heard your cat before.
You never did? No,
No.
that's what happens. I guess I don't know. Sometimes my cat makes noises. In any case, that was my story about how I was big in Vieng Vieng in Laos.
Wow.
I bet you if I went today, I probably would be disappointed. It probably is like not like it at all. These things develop very quickly. Now they're probably all like prepared for tourism, and it's all kind of douchey probably.
Who
Just my 2
knows?
cents, of course. Anyhow, so those were the things I told you. I don't know why. I guess this is what happens at a late hour. I told you about the eggplant and the huge ass and the lady that with the group chat, and how I was the leaker. And then the other thing with me and Vieng Vieng. And I think we covered a lot of issues. Didn't we cover most of the stuff we wanted to today?
Yeah, I think we got through most of the stuff we're going to. So I guess you're planning to go see Thunderbolts Thursday then?
I will try my best to do that. But James Caserta said, I feel like I heard this before. Actually, I've never told any of these. Like, I didn't say the Vieng Vieng story to anybody. And I don't think there's only maybe a few people that I told privately the story about the DM group and the removal of me from the group. I remembered it because of well, the pizza got me thinking about like Laos. I don't know why the pizza with like the calamari on it. And then the reason I thought about the DM group is just because I was saying how people can fight and argue online, and sometimes it's dumb. In that case, I really don't think I did anything wrong. I think I was owed an apology in that case.
Very likely.
Price is I love the smell of fantasy in the morning kind of guy. Trust me, I don't think there have been a lot of places that I felt so positive. Just in general, it was a very fun trip. But yeah, I like the Nelson Mandela story. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one too. It's great. It's great. I don't know why that one cracks me up. In any case, I think we've gone. Is there a way we can tell people? Do you know how to find them?
To shout out some usernames.
Yeah, if you want, I can
Yeah.
look. I just don't know if I have everybody. You sometimes have
Here,
like a list.
I've got a list here. Give me just a second here. Maybe I can toss you part of the list here, and you can get started while I get the rest here.
That's cool.
See if I can put it in a private message. It's huge. Let's see if it goes through. No, it doesn't want to go through. Okay, give me just a second here to
I mean,
finish up my
I
list.
have from 45 minutes ago. So Adam Gray, Jeanette, Thunder Thoughts, Jeanette, Dude Bro, Seth 420, Cheers, mate, Istophobos, Phantomunk, Dude Bro, Seth, Eraserhead. I said Jeanette, Mary White, Elizabeth Quince, Phantom, Yona Aniwadi. Yona Aniwadi. Yona means like a bird.
Yeah. All
Did
right.
you know
Let's.
that?
I've got my my list here. So, yeah, Yeshua Messiah 143. A Raxon, Kivo 1961, Elizabeth Quince, Phantomunk, William, Istophobos, Token Kraut, Hypnocrab, Dude Bro Seth 420, WTF 5000, Leah Hunt, Igua, CC Karaoke, Hold No VR Soul USA 1, Pure and Simple, Senpai 76. Fractured 01, Deconstruct, ZG Alpha, Pyromancer, Warrior Gal, Folsom Lockdown, Imagine 2033, David 4D, Dang 3R, Mouse, Beatles 3, and no, we're not AI. Once again,
We're not AI.
Apricot Pits can cure cancer. Okay.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true, but people have said that. But
Yeah.
is there any kind of basis for that? Because I have heard it before.
Yeah, I have no idea. No idea.
I've heard that rumor before.
Let's see. Jay Delfecchi, Nigerian Twins for Hire. That's a great name. NWO Reset 12. Yona Anawati, Drain member, XZYLL, Zizzle, I guess, Cassis Rumble 29. And then let's see, Tim Hayes, Marla Sharondoff, Jonathan Conroy, Istophobos again, who was on both platforms tonight, Caleb Levine, DJ Plain Ice, Jeremiah Hembry, Ace Hanlon, Barbara Lawrence, Adam Gray, Zun RJ5, Jeanette, Thunder Thoughts, the lovely Sherry, FKHC 2005, the Big Shift, Rob, Big Ship, not Big Shift, Big Ship, Rob Altus, Jamalama, This Is My Name, Void King, Mary White, CC Karaoke, again, also on our other platform here, Matt Cat 83, David Chin, Yitis, Tex Rogers, Sean Green, Keely Chow, The Dead Man, Lisa, James Caserta. And I think we got just about everybody in there, but if we did not, sorry if we missed you.
All right, awesome. You're on. How did you know all that? I had like 5 names. I don't know how you do it.
I use AI Price. That's how I'm doing.
How though?
So, well, I collect the chats and paste them into a window over here as the source, and then I ask the chat bot to give me all of the unique usernames from the chat logs.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm kind of impressed.
It works most of the time.
I am very impressed. And thank you all for hanging out with us in this late hour. I want to thank everybody on Rumble, which is our headquarters. And I want to, again, remind you, if you're watching on Rumble through an app and you haven't yet signed up, you should do it. It's free. And you should follow us and you should get notifications so you know when we're doing it. But even if you don't do all of that, every Tuesday and Thursday, we're here at 11:45 p.m. Eastern on the Night Owl. And in addition to that, I want to also thank everybody on any other platform. Thank you for joining us. The one thing that I think we love the most about these streams, about any stream that I do, but it's always fun, the kind of interaction we have here with the chat and the kind of conversation we have and the interactive comments and that we're all kind of talking and hanging out. We really do enjoy that. And we appreciate, of course, everybody that gave super chats and Rumble rants and all this kind of stuff. Greatly appreciated. And thank you for hanging out with us for a few hours. We'll be here again on Tuesday at 11:45 p.m. on the Night Owl. So I guess
it says I'm selling everyone's names to Google. Trust me, they already know your name and they already know what kind of underwear you wear. So
they probably do.
No
I think they're listening to you 24/7
right now.
Like you have a phone. I think that it listens through the microphone. So if you now talk to your friend about like buying like I don't know what anything that you talk about, they'll show you a commercial for it the next day. I really think they do that.
It's got to happen some. There's way too many coincidences for it.
Right. 'Cause there have been situations that I feel like I just talked to a person about something, and we're like talking about some, random thing or artist or something, and then the next day you see like somebody wants to sell you music by that artist. You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen things that just seem too much of a coincidence, but who knows? Yep. Also, thanks to Lauren Chen for funding the channel. I don't know what you're talking about. Is that the thing with the DM group? It wasn't Lauren Chen. It was somebody. I don't even know if anybody knows her. But you never know. The thing that was surprising about it is that she seemed so nice. So you never know about people. A lot of crazy things happen on the internet. But love hanging out with everybody. We'll see you all on Tuesday. You all have a good night. Professor, anything you want to say before we sign off?
That's going to do it for tonight. You all have a good one.
Right. And like and subscribe if you're on other platforms. I don't know if I even said that. It's getting late, so I don't remember.
Yeah, and then maybe we'll be back with our out of the theater impressions of Thunderbolts on Thursday.
So. Oh, okay. We have to see that on Thursday. Yeah.
I'm going to try and squeeze it in. So
I'm going to try to do it as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, On that positive note, we'll see you all next time.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.